A ritual begins as the chief elder reveals the gods granted them power to slay monsters, the skill tree. He lifts a basket with a newborn shouting Toru has restoration. The baby cries non-stop. At the goblin forest entrance, an armored warrior hunts a beast until a tree blocks his path. Dagger in hand, sword at his belt, he repeatedly swings, striking the creature's core and tearing it apart. He pulls out his dagger, seeing its blade deformed. Acid ate his knife. He eyes the sword, then activates his recovery ability, straightening the knife blade. He fills a vessel with slime acid, claiming it's from 12 slimes. Someone calls him back. He turns to see a fanged beast dying and realizes magic was just used. The strangers lunge, but he leaps clear as their strike shatters the tree behind him. The man lands, looks back. A blonde hunter fumes he alone wanted to catch him, but an old man ruined his spell. He grabs the beast's remains, asking how to sell them. He asks for the MC. Doesn't he know he's always hunting slugs at the forest entrance? Blonde snaps he collects trash. The comrade assures the blonde he speaks truth, pointing to his intact armor and weapons as proof he only hunts weak monsters. The blonde snaps this is a waste of time and orders them deeper into the forest for bigger prey. 30 years ago, the priest and villagers gave him a skill, restore anything. It instantly restored the broken knife he'd used to destroy the slime core. Skill only works on monster items, useless in combat. He couldn't enter the forest for ages. A man reaches Dadon's border town gates, where 2 guards stand guard at the brick wall. A long-haired blonde confronts the man, sarcastically asking the old man if he's done collecting dirt. Knight tells him to stop. He flashes his badge, but the blonde's seen that bottom-tier G-rank tag before. The protagonist turns and leaves. The blonde man shouts after him to retire, being a gatekeeper is easier. He exhales. At item evaluation, the worker calls the next client. Our hero approaches, handing over the slug acid. Disgusted, the worker grabs the items and asks what they are. He stays silent. The woman questions if he's at the right place since they only appraise hunting loot. Suddenly, the blonde's group joins them and he admits he was wrong. A scavenger hunt is still a hunt. They approach, claiming he wasted their time on the hunt, so they'll take it. Third comrade orders second to stand. As one reaches for the slugs, the protagonist punches him, stealing his prey. Blonde attacks, but he easily dodges, sending her crashing into the worker's counter. The worker panics, shaking as acidic mucus splashes her. She screams, "What is this? Call the guards." Another worker approaches, calls her Marika, and asks if she did it again. She turns, thanks the main character, calling him Toru. Woman scolds Marika for not being careful despite calling the liquid safe. Marika denies fault. Guards take comrades, Toru grabs slimes. The woman orders Marika to clean up. Slime heaps midair, then flies back into its shell, shocking Marika. 1 mole horn and 15 slugs sell for 95 copper. Toru pockets the cash and hits the butcher shop. The butcher greets him, eyeing the kill. Toru stays silent as the man grabs the carcass, noting it's easier to skin. He offers Toru half the meat and buys the rest. The butcher gives him a wrapped package, whispering it's a regular bonus to keep secret from the boss. A spectator yells to stop talking, and the butcher happily obeys. Toru turns the corner at night with a meat bag and sits. He opens the entrail bag and stray cats swarm to the smell. The cats rush to eat the food. Toru pats their heads, satisfied. He spots animal eyes in the shadows. He's sad the third one still won't come. He stands, declaring he won't eat near Toru, then grabs his bag and leaves as a third animal creeps from the shadows. Toru reaches Avril's boarding house and hands an elf woman a package of horned mole meat. Avril's landlord. She thinks of him, saying it'll come in handy, her face soft and calm as she wishes him well. Toru collapses onto his bed, eyes shut. Today was just another cycle and he knows tomorrow won't change. His eyes snap open, fixed on the closet. He grabs his badge and checks his skill points. He jumps up, surprised he already has enough control points. He eyes the closet. He defiantly strides to the closet and flings open its doors. In the closet stands a soulless, long-haired girl in a dress. This huge doll doesn't speak, just stares at him. Toru looks at her with regret, remembering events from 25 years ago. Destruction's followers crawled from the central abyss and raided his village. They devoured the villagers one by one. They almost reached the hidden passage to the main road. A beast lunges, but Toru dodges and kills it. Mid-celebration, a monster ambushed him. The girl shrieked his name. She leaps in, taking the monster's hit for Toru. He turns to find her bloody and trembling. Old man clicks tongue, time stops, everything freezes. The old man tells Toru he stopped their time, he must take her. Toru trembles, fighting tears until the old man shouts, "She's alive," hope sparks in his eyes. They hit the healing temple. Healer warns not even water god Aurelia can heal her with the stop skill active. If cancelled, she dies instantly. Toru rages, abandoning the plan. The old man reveals one way to save her. Toru asks what it is. Grandpa's recovery skill can save her. Toru didn't expect it, he stares in shock. He yells it's impossible. He can only rewind 10 seconds and his power doesn't work on living beings. The old man tells Toru level 10 unlocks God's power, promising it'll change everything, unlike his current stagnant stop ability. Toru yells he can still save her. The old man agrees but warns he'll suffer through hell. Toru doesn't care, he'll pay any price for her life. The path ahead was terrible, just as the priest warned. To level up, he needed to kill monsters, but Toru couldn't fight, he could only run. The guard couldn't stand the sight of him, so he taught him the sword until he could hunt. He watched newbies join teams and learned skill distribution. By level 30, he mastered dodging and parrying. Saving a child from city monsters cost him half his left arm's strength. Wounded, he still hunted small monsters, but daily skill growth grew harder. Even this didn't guarantee his wish, but Toru refused to give in. Snapping back, he reaches for the girl. He pulls his hand away, sits on the bed, declaring he needs to level up first. Everyone's born with a tree skill. Wield the skills within these branches to perform miracles. He dumps 10,000 skill points straight onto the tree. Restoration snaps battle items back to new. He's level 10, using it 10 times an hour, activated by blinking. Toru's recovery skill now limits objects, not items. He clenches his fist. His grandfather said he'd unlock the God of Time's full power at 10 levels, just like his stop ability. He eyes the vessel, noting it failed them halfway, but Grandpa's ashes stayed. He pops it open and scoops them out. He tries his recovery skill, it fails. He knows even gods can't return departed souls, as expected. He stares at his mangled hand as memories flood back. Confused by the vision, he wonders if his healing power lets him see a target's past. The fruit grants time perception, understanding goals through time. He stares in horror as blood streams down his left hand. He clenches his fist, pulls back. He activated it through his gloves to restore without direct contact. He snaps his head to the closet. He stands and reaches for her wounded neck, praying it works. He triggers his power, reliving the event's memories. He stares her down, wondering if it failed when she doesn't react. She gasps, Toru's eyes widen. The girl steps out, asking if this is the afterlife. Toru says it's just a closet. He offers to explain, and she tells him to do it with a smile. As a kid, his grandpa froze her time. Saving her cost a fortune and took years. The girl asks if his grandpa abandoned them. She stares, but Toru doubts she knows him. Smiling, he says restoration could make him a boy again, but he'd still be an old man inside. The girl claims another boy was with her. Toru looks away, denies hearing anything. The girl understands. He thinks this is better for everyone, touching his face. She bursts into laughter, teasing his habit of touching his chin while thinking, then tenderly calls his name. Surprised, Toru replies, Sarah. He tries to confirm it's real. Sarah instantly throws herself into his arms, crying with joy. Toru asks when she realized it was him. Sarah confidently says she knew him from the start, but Toru grins, demanding the truth. Sarah insists she's telling the pure truth. Knowing her grandpa's heart failed, she was certain this would finally bring him back to his old self. Sarah clings to his chest, mourning her late grandfather. She thanks him, overjoyed he's still alive by her side. Toru strokes her trembling head like a little girl, warmly smiling, says he's happy to see her too, and thanks Sarah for surviving this difficult world. Sarah cries, realizing he's already outgrown her. Toru agrees, admitting he's no longer young. Tearful, Sarah marvels at his strength, never expecting this. Confused, Toru mumbles she's wrong, he's not what she sees. Toru strokes her head and offers a snack to distract her, but Sarah just snores against his chest. Toru gazes at her with pure love, ready to support her through anything. Morning breaks at Uriel's boarding house. Sun rises, birds sing. Sarah sits by the sofa, watching Toru sleep soundly, waiting for him to wake. Toru stands and pulls Sarah close by her chin. Sarah warns it's not that simple since those frogs never return, but she quickly caves when the brothers promise a shockingly easy fix. Grinning with a thumbs up, they offer to show her exactly how it's. Sarah closes her eyes, fearing the worst, but Toru interrupts, saying she's okay. Sarah pulls away, says the landlady said breakfast is ready. Toru says that's how they met earlier. Sarah ignores him, yells to Uriel, Toru's awake. Toru heads to breakfast as Sarah claims she hasn't eaten in 25 years. Toru glares, but Uriel just smiles at her wild stories. Taru apologizes for the sudden guest. Uriel says it's fine, they bother each other, and as a former adventurer, she'll support the newcomer. Toru watches Sarah devour breakfast. Sarah asks Uriah to become an adventurer. Toru snaps she can't imagine how hard it is. Sarah smiles confidently, telling him that's why she's helping. Thor stays silent. Sarah asks about the meat, loving the taste, while Uriel is just glad she enjoyed it. Toru reflects protecting Sora from their village's massacre trauma, then wonders if he's old as everything's new to Sarah, watching her happily greet her new landlady. Toru suggests registering her as an adventurer after breakfast, thrilling Sarah. Toru says they need something first, apologizing to Isle. He asks to borrow her armor until he buys a set, and Uriel hands it over since it's been collecting dust. Sarah happily agrees. Ural reveals the armor, noting the expected yellowed robe and moldy, rusty breastplate, then asks if she's truly sure. Sarah thanks her as Toru touches her clothes and triggers his recovery skill. Memories flood his mind with the clothes, restoring the armor to new. Ural, surprised, asks Thor what that was. He replies it's his recovery skill, apologizing for the shock. Sarah dons the armor. Thor and Uriel admire how perfectly it suits her, as if made for her. Toru and Sarah calmly exit the house. Amidst the city's hustle, Toru and Sarah stroll calmly. She spots the stalls and asks if it's a festival, but Toru tells her to chill. This border town stays busy every day. At the world's center, the black hole ripped open. Its vapors veiled the earth, spawning monsters that defiled the land, making it uninhabitable. The city protects people from the abyss. Toru explains monsters attacked long ago were defeated, forging experienced fighters. Sierra wonders why adventurers are so few. Toru tells her he's here for the local adventurers. He stops, tells her to go alone. She turns, asking worriedly why he won't go. Toru reassures her he'll watch so his acquaintances don't get suspicious. Sarah pauses for a split second. Girl collapses, groaning, clutching her stomach. She claims she'll feel better if he takes her to that building. Toru eyes Sarah. Pastors turn to Sarah, surprised and confused. Toru exhales, saying he'll rejuvenate himself just this once for about 25 years. Sarah screams for him to wait, insisting he doesn't need to change his look. Toru claims people dismiss him, warning she'll only find trouble with him. Sarah asks if he messed up. He replies that at his age, an old man is still a low-ranking adventurer, nothing to be proud of. Sarah indignantly yells she's proud of him. She admits asking the landlady about adventuring, then tells Toru no normal person lasts 25 years. She would have quit long ago. Toru asks if it's okay despite his age. Sarah says he's a cool old man, so it's fine. Sarah pulls him to a quest board where an E-rank squad urgently needs a D-rank water mage within 2 days. Sarah asks what it is. Toru explains it's a notice board for squad requests or invitations. Intrigued, Sarah asks Toru if he ever wrote. He says he never needed to. The blonde-led trio confronts Sarah and Toru, eyeing Sarah as they head to the worker. She spots Toru and asks why he's back so soon. He says he's just tagging along with a friend. Excited, Sarah introduces herself, glad to meet him but no adventurer yet. She asks if Toru brought her, then their relationship. Sarah blurts they'll marry, but he covers her mouth, claiming she's from his village and he cares for her. The worker checks the document, says she's only 17. She holds out a ball and tells her to touch it. It's a soul analyzer, a tool meant to test his skills. She touches the ball and Toru spots a branch hidden inside. Toru recalls checking Sarah's skill tree with his time flow perception. It showed more details than a normal soul analyzer. Reversal reflects attacks effects at level 1, usable 5 times hourly via blinking. The worker calls the white tree rare and this magic skill unprecedented. She's the only one in her village with this power. Attacks bounce back unless too fast. Toru grimly recalls events, connecting them to her power. Sarah interrupts him, flashing her badge. She cheers that they match like a couple, finally becoming an adventurer just like Toru. Someone claps, they turn to 3 figures congratulating Sarah on registering, calling her baby. The second adds, perfect timing, we needed a girl mage. They ask her to dump the old man, join their squad and learn the ropes, but Toru tells Sarah to go home. Sarah rages again, shouting the old man never gave his word. He swings, but Toru easily dodges again and taps his shoulder. The blonde man loses balance, crashes down and blacks out, as onlookers panic, screaming what Toru did. Toru keeps moving, touching 2 more people who instantly recoil. The boys also plummet. Sarah watches, delighted and admiring, as Toru turns to her, explaining he made them drunk again. As they leave, Toru asks Sarah if she's truly ready for this life and the deadly monsters ahead. Sarah confidently reminds him she offered to help Thor this morning, thrilled to walk beside him again. She hugs him tenderly, then smiles slightly, asking if this is what Toru truly dreamed inside. She urges him to tell his sister everything, confident she'll definitely help him find a solution. Toru looks away, telling her he wants to escape. He's been trapped for 25 years, always entering the same forest path, a vicious cycle. Concerned, Sarah asks if he regrets his life. Toru smiles warmly, sure he doesn't. Smiling, he tells her he still wants to continue his path as an adventurer, full of surprises and new discoveries. Sarah offers her hand, inviting him to adventure. That day, lone Toru finds a party with Sarah. They joyfully walk into the sunset forest. In the goblin forest, Toru teaches a frightened Sarah to navigate, calmly holding his sword down. A horned mole bursts from the earth, and Sarah aims her stick at the monster. Toru smashes the mole, but it survives. It dives underground again. Sarah asks if it escaped, but Toru tells her to use her skill next. Gripping her stick, she vows to catch it. The mole bursts from the ground and lunges at Thor. Sarah eyes the mole. She inverts the mole, slamming it to the ground, bleeding. Sarah asks if it's a horned mole, apologizing for smashing the horn. Toru says it's fine and steps up to fix it. He casts Restore, regrowing the horn, but he stays dead. Sarah tells him he revived him, but he replies it's impossible. Souls belong to the creation god, he only restores the body's pre-death state. He then cuts off the mole's horn. He reuses the recovery skill, the horn reappears on the mole's head. Sarah realizes his clever trick, he spams the ability multiplying the horns. Toru says their family grew, so he needs to boost his income. Sarah's happy Toru called them family. They leave. Sarah admits surprised Toru dodged so fast. He explains he restores his body across space, practice sharpens his movement. Sarah says that's why he touched himself today. Toru grabs her face. Sarah blushes, confused by his actions. Toru scans her ability tree, finding the spatial perception skill. She details the target space. He realized Sora's mole detection was her spatial perception, not his time perception. Sarah stands face ready for a kiss, but Toru turns and leaves. Sarah snaps, "Is that all?" Toru turns confused as she storms past him. Solo hunting took 20 minutes, but now it's over in 3. Toru realizes they can push deeper into the forest faster than expected. Huddled in a hollow tree, they find a feast and Sarah's hyped its meat. She hungrily bites meat. Her expression instantly shifts. She screams he's salty, making forest animals turn. She gulps down water as Rue smiles at her panting face. He demonstrates how to slice the meat and wrap it with cheese, but Sarah snaps that he should have warned her first. Sarah tastes it, it's delicious. Toru asks what she noticed. She's surprised by the easy visible path, noting cut ivy and branches let in sunlight. Toru noticed, great. He explains the city's goblin forest became a logging zone, so they built safe routes, trimmed trees, and drove out all animals. A fresh trail leads deep into the forest's famous logging sites. Sarah asks if they're forest orderlies, but Toru calls them pest exterminators. Toru asks how much XP she got in her water jug. She says 3 kills, so 3. Toru corrects, just 1 point since they teamed up on the mole and bird, earning no points for those. XP splits between the party, so she only earned points for her pre-dinner kill. He asks if she thinks life is hard. Sarah realizes Toru adventured 25 years for her. She hugs him tightly, shouting he's so cool. Toru wants to push deeper today and she agrees. Once their skills fade, he's hunting the goblins this forest is named after. They trek through a lush, ancient forest. Suddenly they hear a sound. Toru warns, goblins hunt in 2-3s to surround prey, so stay alert. She obeys. A goblin lunges out growling and instantly swings his stick. More enemies burst from the bushes and trees, charging straight for them. Toru dodges attacks, strikes back. He slaughters goblin after goblin. Screaming goblins charge. He gouges an eye, the other jumps, dodging the blow. The hero charges into battle. Sarah charges in and slays the goblin. Sarah eyes the goblin corpses, even uglier up close. Toru hands her a dagger, explaining they need the right ear as proof. She grabs the knife and starts. Toru says stick your fingers into the neck, right under the jaw, and find a hard object. Sarah finds a strange object and asks if it's a goblin crystal. Toru praises her for finding a mana stone. Tan's confused. Toru explains it's useless alone, but in a tool it has many uses and trading them fuels the city's income. Toru suggests killing more goblins before sunset. Sarah asks if he'll take the meat, but Toru replies goblin meat's unappetizing, no one buys it. Sarah understands, calling it a total shame. They return to the Adventurers Academy. Sarah happily walked ahead, gushing about the big win. The long-haired blonde guard sees Thor is early, asking if he's sick of digging dirt and ready to retire. Sarah interrupts to thank him for guarding the gate, and he calls her a cutie. Guy asks Toru who's that girl. Toru panics, insisting it's just a coincidence she's with him. Sarah thanks him for caring for Toru, who stands confused at the gate, wondering when old people got fashionable. Indignant, the blonde tells his friend to speak. Seeing Rickon frozen and silent, he asks what's wrong. Rickon awkwardly looks away, answering nothing. Toru sends Sarah to the appraiser while he hits the butcher. She arrives to a massive line, shocked by the crowd. She overhears them discussing their hunt. One lectures that carelessness gets you caught, claiming he saved another's life. The others back him up. Suddenly, they focus on Sarah. A real cutie. Sarah greets them, apologizing for eavesdropping. A guy shrugs it off, admitting they were too loud. It's Hank, the one with long, dark hair. Sarah claims readiness, but the experienced guy corrects her. She admits it's her first time, so he immediately offers a spot. Join us if you're not hunting. The girl from this group indignantly asks why he suddenly invites her. Suddenly, Toru approaches, asking Sarah about her line spot. The guy snaps at his line cutting. Sarah waves happily. Confused, Toru apologizes, explaining he's with Sarah. He walks off, leaving the group bewildered. The worker apologizes for Sarah's wait, then asks about her day. Sarah replies it's her first day and she enjoyed it. She lays out ears and horns, calling it her daily catch. The group stands stunned, unable to believe it. The worker tallies 21 kills, slugs, moles, shark beaks, and goblins, plus 57 mana stones. She hands over the coins and tells him to verify the total. Toru grabs the bag, tells Sarah they're going home. Sarah thanks the group for the invite, asking to learn the goblin-killing secret later. The worker calls them over, seeing only 4 goblins left. They each hold up a severed ear. Heroes joyfully hit the street. Toru hands Sarah a large copper coin as her share. She refuses, but he insists she earned it and needs the extra cash. Sarah asks if the money is for the wedding, but Toru shuts her down. She runs and invites him to the arcade. Passing the counters, Sarah asks what he wants to eat. She stops at a skewered razor bill, asking about it. The vendor offers it with honey sauce, calling it delicious. Sarah shouts it looks delicious and buys 3, shocking Toru. Can she really finish them all? She says no, offers a skewered chashlik, tells him to open up. He obeys, tastes it. Sarah tries it, calls it delicious and tender. She wonders what's in it. Toru says it's the same and grabs another for the lady. She agrees, but a voice warns that if they keep eating, they won't fit through the door. Suddenly, the owner walked up. Toru told the owner to take Sarah away, explaining why they cut the hunt short. They reach a public bathhouse. Sarah's never bathed in a big bath. Toru thought she'd be tired after her first outing. He can't go with her, so he asked the owner. Sarah doesn't care, they should go together. Toru, surprised, her reel screams to go in. They enter a public bathhouse, spotting many girls. Uriel leads them to the bathroom. Sarah sprints to her towel. They sit in the hot bath. Sarah calls it nice. In another room, Toru hears Uriel tell Sarah she can't swim. Toru smiles. First door they emerge, Uriel and Sarah follow. Sarah, thanks for waiting. Sarah loved her first sauna trip, bragging about her silky smooth hair and skin. Toru barely recognizes her stunning beauty, then Uriel pulls Sam aside to talk. Uriel notices Sarah only has one outfit, so they head to the store. Surprised, the worker sees Miss Uro, asking what they're picking up today. Uriel decides to buy the guy's clothes. She suggests linen and cotton for the heat, and Toru awkwardly lets her choose. The woman offers wonderful granite fabric. Sarah asks to see other items, and the worker agrees. While the worker measures, Uro asks when it's ready. She replies she's not busy, so tomorrow for the young man, 3 days for the lady. Sarah jolts while browsing, spotting something. Toru rushes over, asking if her stomach hurts. She shows fabrics, asking which is best. Toru confirms the sky fabric suits her. She's happy she knew it. She approaches the worker, bag in hand, asking if her money buys the fabric. Worker says 94 copper coins only buy a small section. Toru gives Sarah more coins, asks if it's enough. Sarah questions if it's even possible. Toru replies they'll earn more with her, so don't worry. Sarah thanks him, saying she loves him. Sarah leaves with the headband. Uriel's glad Sarah feels better. Toru says she's always been like this. He asks if she's causing her trouble. Uriel says no, she's like in stories. He smiles, asking if she sees it. She agrees. Sarah shines brightly. On their way, Uriel hopes for no extremes. Thor agrees. Sarah happily sports her new headband. Toru screams for Sarah to watch out as a goblin charges her. Sarah slays goblins with her power, but they're endless, ambushing from all sides. One leaps from behind Sarah. Toru thrusts a sword through his mouth, killing him as Sarah sighs in relief. Toru and Sarah hunt goblins daily. Sarah asks Toru to use restoration to clean off the blood. They find a plant. Sarah asks if it's the bitter herb. Toru confirms it's the healing ointment ingredient, valuable because it can't grow in the city. Toru says cut the top, it regrows in 3 days. Sarah realizes they can pick repeatedly, marking the spot, but Toru warns it's only now, the season ends with summer. They return to the gate. Passing the disgruntled blonde again, the blonde's friend eyes them suspiciously. Sarah tells Thor good catch. He agrees the hall's good enough to attract unwanted attention. Guards surround a stranger who glares back as Sarah and Toru eye the VIP and his armor. Toru spots a silver B-rank plaque. The man asks if he's Rikan. Rikan nods. The blonde is angry, he whispered, about an important person. A man tells Thor there's a complaint he's exploiting a novice adventurer as a guide, then tells him to follow. Sarah protests, but Toru reassures her. They leave as the blonde fumes at Rikan. He yells, furious he'd rat them out to security HQ, still talking down. Rikan asserts his superior rank, demanding Carlos respect the chain of command. But Carlos asks if Rikan expects respect from someone who reported his comrade. Rikan looks away, admitting his clear violation. What's wrong with the gatekeeper's report? He's just digging for dirt. Thor, know your place. Carlos boils with rage, punching Rikan's chest and screaming this guy worked hard his whole life, unlike them. Rikan looks down, seeing Carlos has no hand as Carlos screams he wants to interfere out of envy. Carlos snaps, shouting that Rikan is the only monster here. Rikan reminds Carlos he wanted Toru to retire, but Carlos yells that the stubborn man will never quit. Rikan's suspicious. Why's Carlos so protective? He looks away, snapping it's none of his business. Carlos remembers hunting with Toru, who taught him as a novice. He tells Recon he can't believe Rank B got involved. Headquarters went crazy. Sarah and Toru reach a mysterious site with the guards. Ignored by the others, Sarah presses Toru, who reveals it's an emulator structure powered by mana stones. Stunned, Sarah asks a training ground. She warns magic and martial arts are blocked against humans, and only new skills work even on monsters as the B-rank seeker draws a sword. Toru tells him to listen. They're partners from the same village, so he's training her, not using her. He says if they team up, they'll crush him and prove their strength despite Toru's size. He won't dull his sword, so he asks for a training one. Told to do whatever, Toru eyes the swords, grabs a stacked one and declares, no good. Furious, he demands to know how many are left. Toru scoffs that none are worth it, so he asks to see the sword his opponent took. He fumes, thinking Toru's an incompetent worm, so why's he pretending like this? Toru grips his sword, examines it. Still okay, he growls, teeth grinding in anger. They face off as the judges order him forward. The enemy instantly settles into an attack stance, battle ready. He maxed his fighting spirit instantly. With a battle guardian from the fire god Raphaelite, Russell knows Toru drops in one hit. Toru tells Sarah to watch closely and she smiles, replying she's watching him. Russell mocks Toru for challenging a B-ranker solo. He swings his sword with a roar, but the attack does nothing. He realizes he can't use his martial arts. Toru seizes the chance and attacks. He drops his guard and a sword suddenly hits his stomach. Russell collapses, gasping. The guard screams. Toru holds a sword to his neck, demanding they go. He stands, tells Sarah to come. Russell's fighting spirit ignites. He rains fire on them as Toru screams Sora's name. The barrier triggers, reflecting the fire back at Russell. He collapses, screaming as his own flames burn him. Guards rush for water while Sarah steals one last glance back. Later, eating shashlik, Sarah asked what he'd done. He raised his head. Sarah saw Russell's shock when he grabbed the sword. Was it because he couldn't ignite it? Even Toru hated him, though he'd never mocked anyone before. Toru reveals handing over the wooden sword restored his skill tree. Sarah's shocked. You can do that? That's amazing. Seeing Sarah's tree, Toru decides to redesign his own, realizing restoration can reset his skills by viewing the past. He shortened his recovery tree, sending the skill points back to the jug. Sarah asks if he can reset his skill tree for new branches, but Toru warns it's usually impossible, and that's the catch. Their skill trees are single branch. Sarah's size is the problem. Toru says he rarely uses it, knowing it makes it easy to counter. Sarah asks if that's why he angered him to distract him. Toru says it worked because of the swords. The first pass reset his martial arts branch, and the final shoulder tap restored everything. Walking home, Sarah asks what he'll do if they return. He calls the violation a lie fueled by loot envy. If they slow down, they're safe for now. He says ability rules the adventuring world. If known strong, fewer cross your path. Sarah worries if his strength is known, women will hunt him, so she asks him to stop. Toru guesses who sent rank B after them. He calls it trouble but needs to talk to them soon. Sarah worries, asks if it's a woman. He says no. Toru walks alone, passing townsfolk eagerly playing music and enjoying themselves. He's at Choi's tavern. He enters to a warm welcome. Inside, elites mingle and men argue, but a woman and the young man beside her lock eyes with him. The prince asks what wind brought him back after so long. Another smiles, counting the winters since they last met. He sits, noting it's been ages, and asks how she's doing, dazzled by her beauty as always. Platinum flames rank Astrasia fumes. The heartthrob always ignores him, flirting with the second one instead. Koru mocks their elite status in this dump, but Strasia shuts him down. They're only together because they shared a master. Meet Nansa, a girl with a burn scar on her neck. Teru orders country-style potatoes and sausages. The waiter instantly brings it. Tor tastes everything, calling it delicious as the waiter smiles. The bearded man shouts that his method won't last, as Strasia notes the teacher's foul mood. Dadon, head of the border town's adventure bureau, warns. Manage money wisely, start small, or end up like a fool from the next village. Sako, the border town's adventure bureau deputy, asks the teacher what he'll do with the funding, since they must deduct 30% for army maintenance. Didn't sips his drink, knowing they're broke and the wall repairs won't hold. Sako's flat out too, but if this plan works, massive orders are coming. Toru asks what strategy he means. Strasia replies it's time to light up the ruins. Toru asks Nansa to translate this into human. Her strategy, retake Basilia's north, lost last year tomorrow. Toru says the bureau was packed this morning with A and B ranks because of a call-up. Dadon scoffs, saying he'll gamble because iron needs tempering to become steel. Sako seeks talent but user and power must match, so he watches Tora. Diggon's livid because Tora will use any dirty trick to win. Dedon turns to Thor, asking if he'll stay silent when he came for answers. Sako reveals he found a girl with rare talent, asking if it's time to let her go. Toru confirms that's his point, demanding Sako leave them alone. Sako shuts it down. insisting talent belongs with talent because weak partners only hold them back. Nainsa declares someone's talking nonsense, and Sako's eyes widen at Nainsa. He's shocked her neck scar vanished, but she's just as confused. The girl inspects herself while Strasha eyes Tora suspiciously. He rips the bandage off his eye, declaring his magic cursed eye holds a fraction of its true power. Toru locks eyes with Strasher. He instantly confesses, begging forgiveness. Strasha laughs, surprised he gave in so fast with no resistance. Nainsa tells Strasha to slow down. Nainsa asks his meaning. He explains he just restored it. If she dislikes it, he'll revert it. Nainsa smiles, no need, she can't thank him enough. Sako understands he can heal old wounds. What else can he do? Toru says he can do anything. Sakodal suggests Dadan retire, he's old and risking overwork. Dadan indignantly shouts, what? With purple eyes, I can't be a boss. Toru orders steak and turnips, but Data snaps at him for playing around during their serious meeting. Suddenly, the plate refills with food. Everyone stares in shock. Sako finally gets skill use matters and apologizes for his arrogance. Then Dadan shouts, noticing something, what's happening, what's his role? Nanasa's head feels weird. Panicked, he touches his bald head and suddenly sees thick hairs sprout. Toru admits he made him younger. Didn't ask how, then adds Toru spent ages developing this useless skill. Sako boasts he can silence them, suggesting they lock him in the bureau's interrogation room. Expose this skill and a mob of priests and hair seekers will swarm them. If this happens, Didn will lock himself away because of his favorite student. Stresha realizes she's retiring and asks for a farewell party. Thor gets his food. He has two conditions. First, leave them alone. Second, remove anyone who interferes, that's all. Sako asks for their cut. Toku needs time to think. He demands 6 months to prove he can match their rank. Strisha smiles, expecting. Sako calls his low-rank plan too ambitious, but Strisha counters, give me your partner, I'll speed up progress. Toru admits he can't cultivate talent, despite his connections or influence. He's too gifted, everything comes easy, so he demands too much. He notes none of his people ranked up in a decade, save Platinum Flames, Nainsa and Strasha. Dion laughs, claiming he'll finally have a say. Sako explains their director loves retirement, sparking a trend of quitting early. Dadan is furious. Toru isn't here to pick a fight, he just wants to keep doing his thing. Dawn reminds him he's still not a businessman. He offers him to quit and live with them. He refuses to quit, but will consider it if he asks with all his heart. The town thinks he's still chasing adventure. Asked how long he'll last, Toru vows to keep growing until he reaches their level. Tiru watches the labyrinth's miasma gates collapse as the world's saviors take the best spots. He ponders the great hero title. Strasha hugs Tora, praising his ambitious plans, though emphasizing his own exclusion, and says he'll look forward to Tora. Didn't tells him to stay an adventurer and leave the rest to him. Sako thinks, watching the chaos. Sako sees Russell's knockout, something's fishy, bad politics if the director backs him. Sako accepts the terms, his crew stands down. He knows his own progress, and Toru's glad he accepted the deal. He drops the coin, stands, declares discussion done, and asks to leave. Didn't rises, demanding what he's doing, saying it's still kid time, suggesting they reminisce. Toru walks out, the waiter smiles a goodbye, and Adon fumes at being ignored. Sako asks if Dadan will let him go. Dadan agrees, citing Sako's stubbornness and refusal to listen, then asks if Sako's not admitting defeat is the real reason. Sako denies. He asks Dadan if they'll even let him inside with that hair. Toru and Sarah wheel their cart to the worker, who's stunned by their 2 massive caterpillars. Toru orders her to sell 1 whole, split the second, sell half, and butcher the rest. They emerge with money and meat. Hungry, Sarah suggests an early return to fry it. Toru tells her to slow down, he's taking her out today with tons of meat they'll love. They hit a dark corner. Toru drops the meat and orders Sarah to watch. 2 cats burst out, Sarah stares surprised, Toru apologizes for being late. Sarah asks about the cats and he admits he used to feed them here. She pets one, bragging about her hunting help, but Toru tells her to back off while he eats. But the cat crawls to her lovingly. Happy, Sarah shows Thor its content face, surprising him. Second cat snuggles Sarah, asking if they like it. Toru thinks he fed them 6 months to get them used to him. Sarah stands, feels strange. He tells Thor something's here, they're being watched. He hears nothing, then Sarah shouts, look at my catch. He turns his head and sees Sarah holding a little girl. Toru's stunned, Sarah claims they're playing hide and seek, but is she really a local? Is this the 3rd one? The girl calls Moo gross, so Sarah refuses to eat. Sarah asks its name as her stomach growls, but the kid heard it's actually delicious. Seeing cats eating, he rushes them. Mew grabs Toru, lifts him, asking if he ate with cats. Toru twitches, claiming it's his food. Toru asks about his parents, Mew's silent. Toru apologizes, not enough for. Sarah begs him with a look, so he sighs and agrees to check with the owner. Sarah tells Mood to follow. He's nervous, but she offers him food. She introduces herself and Toru, then tells Mood to call her big sister. Mew learns names but botches Toru's. Most says he's hungry and tells the kid to stop calling him that. Toru, Sarah, Mew plus 2 cats come home. The owner announces special guests today. Thuru notes they've grown attached and asks to stay to care for them. The owner agrees, offering a hot bath he gladly accepts. Mew asks for food. Toru says he needs a wash first. Mew asks if they'll eat him. Mew is a girl. Sarah asks if Restore cleans the dirt, but Toru's scan shows 0 points. She hasn't hunted any monsters yet. Sarah promises to behave. Washing her move laughs, yelling Sarah's ticklish, so Sarah tells her to stop twitching. Toru finds it weird Sarah has no lice, but Sarah points out the cats had no fleas. Toru spots Mew's scars, wondering what caused them. Sarah compliments Mew's cute purple eyes, a purple eye tribe trait Toru quickly explains. He lifts a lamp to Mew, telling Sarah to look. Toru claims they're experts at navigating the dark. Sarah beams, it's wonderful. Eurohands moves her old stuff and offers it back, but Sarah corrects him for calling her Mumu. Toru says the Violet Eye tribe often repeats names, and that's correct. He explains boys use double letters, girls use repeated syllables, so her name must be Lala Mumu or Mumu Leli. He says they have this tradition. Their thunder god patron Jijiro inspires similar names for his blessing. Mu dresses, then asks Toru for her opinion. Toru says she dressed well and it suits her. Sarah's starving from her hard work. They wish each other well, but Mew demands to eat now. They dig in and Mew loves the meat. Toru tells her to slow down, nobody's stealing her food. Sarah agrees with Mew, it's delicious, the ham's the best. She tries planning tomorrow's hunt, but Toru tells her to slow down and eat properly. Sarah downs it. Ural wishes Thor had met these kids sooner. She notices something, asks Sarah what's wrong. Sarah apologizes, just noticed her ears are unusually long. Ural reveals she's from the Ash Ear tribe, confirming Sarah's suspicion she's from far away. Toru claims the mistress's northern folk grew long ears to hear on snowy plains. Ural corrects, not true, it's for the ice god's dragon teachings. Toru apologizes. Ural says they're told this because they're often teased as gray rabbits. Ural asks Sarah about other lands, but she's just a village girl, so Ural offers to teach her bit by bit. Sarah agrees, very grateful. Ural reveals that centuries ago, a massive hole swallowed the country overnight. Monsters crawled from the abyss, plunging the world into total chaos. Long ago, a large, technologically advanced country at the continent's center thrived peacefully, until its refugees scattered to remote regions. Soon, people blessed by 6 deities emerged, populating the central region where Thor and Sarah live, protected by all 6 divine powers. Sarah, surprised by horned or scaled people, now understands their origin. Toru explains they rarely visit their village. Iral asks Toru his future plans. Toru admits he first planned to feed Mew and send her away, but now he'll care for her longer. He remembers his teacher had purple eyes. Night stayed quiet. Toru visits Ram the Armorer, who happily welcomes him back and asks if he's finally hunting for gear. Toru arrives with Mew and Sarah to place an order, asking if they're busy. Rummy says people neglect their gear and only bring it in when it's totally trashed. He taps Thor's chest, praising his gear's flawless condition. He checks if the place is ready, while Toru demands new shoes immediately. Rumu asks, is this for the child? Toru calls, urging them to say hello. The owner looks scary, but he knows his business. Sarah greets him, I'm your future wife. Rama wonders when he married and had a child. Toru explains he's just watching a friend's daughter, only picked her up yesterday. Ramu calls Mew a boy and tries to measure his foot, but Sarah reveals Mew is actually a girl. They measure. Ramu promises boots with room to grow. Will they fit? Mew asks why, so Toru explains it keeps her feet clean, then asks if it'll make her soles soft as cat paws. Ramu requests soft material, but Toru reminds him of his grumbling about a cancelled coat of eponymous hip skin. Ramu clarifies he means the unsold one. Ramu snaps, asking if he's dragging the kid on missions, but he stays silent. Ramu gestures, wanting to talk outside. Mew asks what he's doing, is this a greeting? Sarah explains the gesture means to talk outside. They emerge and Ramu explodes, demanding why he ordered gear for a kid who won't last a second in combat. Toru says she's small but talented. Ramu starts to object, knowing Toru won't lie, but Toru interrupts, promising a secret trick. He grabs the tattered leather armor. Ramu warns it needs serious repairs. Toru crafts brand new, clean armor. He's stunned, not a single scratch. Ramu spreads his arms wide, and while Mew asks if it's a greeting, Sarah explains he's just giving up the argument. Rumu snaps he understands nothing. It's no trick, but the armor's ruined. He asks what he did. Toru replies this is his trained skill, letting him do this. Rummel asks true, he cheers, finally I did it, then pats Toru's back. He abruptly calms, overjoyed, but this scenario could cost him half his earnings. Toru assures him he won't compete, he'll keep adventuring with him. He confirms the skill works on humans too, so Mew won't die easily, then asks if he'll take the job. Ramu confidently promises something special for her. Toru grabs the other armor, swings his hand, and restores it. Rumo grabs the armor, shocked the hippo skin's damage disappeared. He stops, asking about the patch. He gets fixing seams, but how'd he fix the torn pieces? Toru claims his restoration skill can restore lost material. He asks, surprised, if it's true. Toru then wonders about dragon skin armor. He claims it's common and asks about white ferret skin, another high-value prize. Toru reveals his recovery skill has a limit. After testing it on a horned mole, he found it only restores 30% of the damage. Even small parts are hard to recreate. He thinks the brain sees the current state as finished, failing to imagine the final form. Ramu asks if bigger armor means bigger benefits. They shake hands like brothers while Mew and Sarah watch through the window. Four stand in the adventurer's bureau. Longhair asks Rickle if the old man they met was actually something. Rickle asks if it's true. Third adds he heard similar rumors, even that he won Brang. He claims his girl used a secret skill. Rickle asks, that cutie? Suddenly Mew screams, what is this place? Everyone turns around. Toru walks in with a child sparking questions. The red-faced guy notes they're just a boy and girl, but they don't look related until they remember she called him daddy. Confused, they follow, wondering if it's the stepdaughter. Toru shushes Mew, explaining they're at the adventurer's bureau. Mew recognizes the name but doubts his job. Sarah offers a tour, but Mew's already asking about a bulletin board. Sarah explains the bulletin boards for wants or suggestions. Mew instantly asks to write. Sarah agrees before Toru can even complain. Moose on tiptoes can't reach. Toru lifts the child, asks if comfortable. Mew draws 5 people on board. They ask what it is. She points to the biggest, Toru, Mew holding his hand. Sarah asks about the smaller ones. Mew names them, Kuro the black cat and Shima the tabby cat. Sarah points to a person, asking if it's her. No, that's the owner. Toru asks, done, let's go to the desk. Worried, Sarah asks why isn't. Mo registers as an adventurer. Worker asks if she can handle it. Documents say she's 9. Toru says the minimum adventurer age is 8. He adds she's a magician, so she won't need to get near the monsters. The worker says she can't allow this. Toru asks for the reasoning. She explains the Purple Eye Tribe's lightning magic lacks a basic attack branch, so Mew's default skill is rare electric detection. Using her just to find monsters stunts her growth, so she refuses. Toru presses no skill points, the worker confirms. Toru isn't worried since the skill tree scan will reveal everything, but the worker just glares. She sets a ball down, tells her to touch the analyzer, and she does. Mumaimai wields the ancestral tree of purple lightning from the lightning deity. She has electric spine, a passive skill that counters attackers and earns points. The worker says there are no problems, so she gives her the adventurer's token. Mu reaches out his hand. Toru gives her a brotherly squeeze, just like with Ramu, and hands her a token. Toru calls the sortie ready, then stops. Where's Sarah? They find her still sketching, leaning against a chair. As they approach, Toru pushes ahead. Sarah confirms everything's ready, it's better this way. Mew glances at the board, then follows. Toru yells, we're leaving Sarah. Board shows Sarah holding Moose's hand, beaming, then she sprints to Thor and Moose. Mew clenches her fists and screams she's fine as Toru watches electricity surge around her. Sarah gasps at the beautiful spell, so Toru explains it's electric spike, a magic that automatically counters any attacker. Mew's itching's gone, Sarah tells her she's flea-free. Toru touches Mew's head, checking her skill tree. Electric spike automatically counterattacks enemies who attack the user. Recovery on an electric spike branch resets the bud to 0. Mew had this skill from birth, and on the tree, Toru smiles, noting only 3 buds. Toru praises it, then suggests she try it in his eyes. She looks up as Sarah watches closely, wondering why Mew would look into his eyes. Suddenly, Sarah feels a strange pull, turning to wonder if it's the alley feeling. Mew looks down, prompting Toru to ask what's wrong since she was just cheerful. Mew asks if Toru's mad, while a worried Sarah has no clue what's happening. Toru tells her it's fine, he's not mad, he's happy you want to do this. Mool asks again. Toru sits, strokes her cheek, tells her not to worry, urging her to look at him. She smiles at him, then instantly she's at her tree, remarking on its strangeness. Toru, relieved it worked, asks what she sees in the roots. Mew asks about the round thing. Toru explains it's her special ability, feeling exchange. This power lets her swap feelings and emotions with a target always active. This deadly ability works through sight. Toru thinks she lives with cats because she's terrified of using it. Rare to find someone born with a spiritual instrument, so others saw her as evil. Back in the forest, Toru asks if she's okay, but she stays silent and hugs him while a sleepy Sarah watches. Toru suggests trying again. She sees 3 buds on the trunk. He explains, to raise the middle bud, pour this water on the roots. Mule douses the roots with water, and a new branch instantly sprouts. Mew screams something strange grew, an arrow-shaped branch with a curved base. Electric radar shows direction and distance to the nearby enemy. Toru asks if she'll use it, and she happily agrees as Sarah watches with interest. Mew clenches his fists and snaps his eyes open, unleashing electric arrows that engulf trees and zip past the crowd. Mew shouts, pointing she felt something there. Toru offers to check it out. Confused, Sarah asks to wait what's happening, why she has 2 skills. Toru turns and shushes him. Sarah whispers if Mew has 3 skill buds. Mew dashes over, points it out, a slug on a tree. Toru scoops Mew up, hands him a knife. Taru commands her, target the spinning cannonball, destroy it. Mew obliterates it. Taru praises her, good job. Mew asks if she did well and Toru praises her. He realizes this limited skill is far more useful than expected. Sarah pats Mew's head, claiming she beat him, but her sister won't lose to her. Toru praises Mew's progress but warns the next step is brutal. Mew confidently claims she's got this. Toru says that's great, then suggests she revisit the tree. Toru tells Mew to grow the top bud. Mew happily obeys, watering the roots. The butt grows, it's a lightning needle, boosting speed and agility. Toru presses her to try, but Mew prepares, summoning a thunderstorm as lightning crackles around her. Sarah finds it painful, asks if it's safe. Toru checks on her, asks if she hurts. Mew replies everything's fine, she feels no pain, just a strange feeling. Toru grips small stones, telling her dodge these. He tosses stones rapidly, but she dodges with ease, leaning back as the final one sails past. Sarah's stunned, she dodged everything. Mew cheers, finally awakening a new power. Toru praises his performance for exceeding expectations, and Mo pulls him into a hug. Toru asks to share her power, she agrees instantly, but how? Toru admits she's never done a reverse exchange, but Ta has no clue what that means. Tobru recalls Sarah saying the cats had no fleas. He agrees, but what about Moo's mange? Why weren't those cats sick? Moose yells Kuro and Shiro are always with her. Toru smiles, asks to share, and she reacts. Lightning engulfed Toru. He tells her to close her eyes, cover her ears and nose. He wants her to share only the lightning needle. Mew warns it won't work instantly. She obeys, shutting her eyes and ears. Toru senses a direct hit, it worked. He blurs behind Mew and hoists her up. Toru's hyped to start the hunt, but Sarah stops him, asking if she's coming along. Mew tells Sarah it's too early, but Sarah begs to share. Mew ignores her and tells Thor she's hungry. Toru hands her an apple to snack on, leaving a heartbroken Sarah behind. That evening, they hit the Adventurers Guild and dump goblin ears on the table. Surprised, the worker notes Toru brings in more daily. Electric radar and lightning needles attract more enemies for a faster hunt. She hands over a silver, a half silver, and 37 coppers. They grab the cash and leave. Most squads are failing their goblin hunts lately, but Toru's team is suddenly dominating. She questions how 50 people find 50 monsters daily, much less kill them. Walking home with Mew asleep on his back, Toru realizes a day of hunting exhausted her. Sarah smiles, praising Mew for teaching her to instantly master and switch skills, but 3 inversions drain her mana, leaving her gasping for breath. Taurus says it's impossible. Mana, inclination, and magic type are too different. Like Mew's electric flea spikes, she boosted her power, constantly shocking herself. He says inversion can't be used unless a monster attacks her, but when it does, Sarah unleashes hell. Sarah offers to help, but Toru insists he's fine and will speak up if he gets tired. Sarah tells him to rely on her to bond with Mew. Toru agrees it's weird, she only dislikes her. He suggests she used emotion swap on girls her age before and something bad happened. Toru tells her to stop rushing and relax. Sarah agrees, thanking him for looking out for her. Toru has a favor. Sarah eagerly asks what. He asks if she slept with the cats. Sarah confirms the couple joined her, making her too hot to sleep. Toru asks to trade Move for 2 cats. Sarah says the cats followed Move into Toru's room, but that night they scratched her door. Sarah's unsure but thinks that's how it was. She suggests she, Moo, and the cats sleep in her room. Sarah has no room, so she can sleep at Toru's. He refuses, his bed too small for 2. Sarah shouts he's a liar, she knows Thor sleeps anywhere. They approach Ural's house. At Dadan's main gate, crowds see off the troops. At Choi's, Toru heard all high ranks went to Bozalia to bring her back. The trio hunts the goblin forest while Mew's magic shields Toru, slaying several caterpillars. Mew asks if everyone's handled. He confirms they're finished. Hunting large caterpillars is like fighting mage, so the electric shield proved handy. Sarah asks Mew to help burn the fur, but she claims she's too busy. She reaches for the fur, but Sarah warns her that white fur will itch. Moe trembles, screaming she's itchy all over. He reaches out, casting recovery to cure her itch. Mew says it's better now. Toru tells Mew to listen to Saru. Saru calls Toru a real father, asking if he'll get a wife. Total ignores her, tells Mew it's perfect, and orders him to handle the white fur. They light a fire, warn Mew about burns. Toru shows that if you stick a branch in, fire spreads to it. She grabs the stick, surprised. They load tracks into the cart. Sarah asks if the cart can't handle 3. Toru says it's a low-rank rental magic stone, but pulling it's easier than carrying it. Toru spots her sad face, asks what's wrong, the caterpillars. He assumes she's wondering if caterpillar meat is tasty, and she confirms it. Toru suggests they head home, he'll carry her if she tires. Mu's thrilled. At the gate, Carlos demands to know where the girl came from since he wasn't on duty yesterday. Sarah thanks him for his hard work. Carlos calls her sweet as ever, then asks her to dinner. Sarah is thrilled to go, but Carlos warns her to keep her distance. Mu wakes, asks, "Are we home?" Her gaze locks on Carlos's eyes. He asks, "What's going on? You're not from here." Carlos strikes her forehead and she snaps, screaming at the idiot for what he's doing to Mu. Carlos insists he's Mr. Carlos, but she's suspicious how he knows Muz's name. Toru agrees. Toru shouts they'll meet again. Carlos yells they're not finished. The bureau gives them 2 silver, 18 copper coins. A week after Sarah's group formed, they'd saved 5 silver and he'd saved the same. Their skill points tell a similar tale. He and Sarah have 150, Mu only 70. At this pace, they'll hit level 2 in 2 months. Passing stalls, she marvels at the food. Toru explains it's for sale, she needs money to try it. Mu hears about money, calls them savages. Surprised, Toru asks where she learned that word. Sarah brings a kebab and she devours it. She hands Thor a skewer, he asks where she bought them, shocked she knows the spot. Mu happily calls it delicious. Sarah tells her many delicious things await. Silence falls, Toru stares. Toru suggests a nearby bathhouse for later, but Sarah panics and isn't ready. Toru doesn't get it, saying they're just washing up, but Sarah snaps that girls have enough worries. Toru, after a moment of silence, agrees they should go back, suggesting they take the mistress once horses snack. They reach a building and Mu's shocked it's a bathhouse. The girls split up as Toru promises they'll meet later. Mu resists, Sarah orders her away, but she screams to stay with Toru. They change and Ural orders them to towel up, but as Sarah hands one to Mu, she vanishes. Mu stands poolside, says it's not bad, and asks if she really has to get in. He dips a foot, winces, it's too hot. She angrily activates her ability, jumps into the water, screaming she won't lose. Sarah grabs her from behind, insisting they wash first. They sit and start scrubbing. Sarah and Mu happily help, rubbing backs, pouring water. Sarah tells Mu they're in foam again. Mu says bathing is fun. They laugh, Sarah agrees, Ural helps. Out of the pool, Sarah reflects on a week back, but a huge void remains. Daily forest trips tire her, breaking routine, but she has nothing left to ask the only person she has left. Sarah asks Moose swim if she loves her little sister. Moose doesn't know. Sarah understands and loves her. Mu doesn't hate her sister. Mu spots a fan, asks what it is. Sarah explains, 5 copper buys a magic stone, making it blow for 5 minutes. Playing near the fan, Euro hands them apple juice and drinks with them. Leaving the bathhouse, Euro apologizes for the wait, but Thor says he just finished and asks if Mu behaved. Mu admits her foe was strong but vows to win next time, while Sarah feels reborn and ready for tomorrow. Toru corrects her they're off tomorrow, did he forget to mention it? At Uriel's, a man approaches Thor, bowing and begging forgiveness to help. It's his teacher, Dadon. Toru asks about fixing the wall, but Dedon says the Temple of Jiteros charges 10 gold coins. Dadon asks a favor, offering all his magic stone devices. Toru questions the sudden request. Dedan explains, 9 years since the city's monster attack, people forget the threat and feel no danger. Tiro remembers 9 years ago, agreeing, fixing it all at once is bad. They should start with first aid. The Dane happily relies on him. He says main forces now head to Basalia, reports pour in. Toru asks if goblin numbers increased, shocking Dan, who wonders how he knows. The radar's working, but goblin numbers are looking suspicious lately. Dadon knows helping only after trouble is bad, but to protect the city, he'll gladly disgrace himself. Toru claims he mentioned it, so don't worry. Can he go now? Dadin doesn't mind, he can leave. Dawn says he stayed with Sako, but guilt sparked nightmares about his hair growing out. No need to linger, everything's fine, so Tora handles restoration. Sarah went shopping with the owner, leaving Toru to rebuild the wall with Mu. At the wall, Toru realizes things are worse than expected. He heads off to scout and warns Mu to stay put. Mu obeys, mounts the flying board, declaring Mu is the wind. Tiru knows a silver child needs a teacher to take shape. He eyes the wall, wondering where to begin. The outer wall, a horse's hoof pointing east, surrounds the city. An entrance is in the lower city. Past the gate, a goblin forest is on the right. Across the way, the main gate faces the road leading into the city. Inside are inner and outer areas separated by a bridged moat. If outer walls fall, bridges are destroyed. Toru grabs a ladder and tackles the worst damage first. This damage only hits cities repeatedly attacked by monsters. Recovery reveals you and isn't wide range. He touches the huge crack, vowing to return everything to 10 years ago. He succeeds. The difference is glaring. He doubts anyone will look close, but exposure means ruin. He needs to shrink the damage zone. He smiles, full restoration is impossible, but the wall is solid and the cracks are sealed. Good enough. Toru's spamming his skill too much. He needs to hit multiple targets now. Multi-targeting is rare and weakens your power, but master it to strike entire hordes at once. Toru knows wishing for the impossible is useless, but he's finally giving it a shot. He uses restoration for everything. Remember yesterday's caterpillar hunt? That itch vanished instantly. Toru realized that by using keywords in his mind, he could find a lot. He muttered about something flawless. He restores a conscious wall, then fixes 50 steps. Mew runs up with cats asking if he's done. Toru says wait for recovery to update, then she can play more. She plays happily. Toru pulls his sword, saying since he waits, he'll try this iron sword. He swings sharply, feels its edge. This is no wooden sword. Can't handle it, he stops. He took more swings, finished training. He miraculously finished the north wall in a day. The south wall is next, but he needs to rest first. He tells Mew they're heading back. At home, Sarah and the hostess have dinner ready. They sit at the table, cats eat under it. They cheerfully discuss, then eat. Deep in the forest, Toru reveals today's target, an armored boar. Sarah loves the party idea, and Mew shouts for Toru to leave it all to her. Toru warns that shoulder-high armored boars are massive, deadly beasts. With only a level 1 smoke screen and weak magic, he can barely scratch them. He usually needs level 2 or 3 skill, but observe him first to win. Defeat him, become a C rank F. Mew understands him, explaining Toru's blue record. Mew wants a blue one too. Toru laughs, everyone wants one. Mew gets to work. She scanned for the armored boar for 2 hours. Mew asks, is this a boar's den? Toru covers her mouth. Sarah says no, it's likely a goblin's den, and they see them emerge. Toru spots a hobgoblin leading the pack. Sarah's confused, so he explains these rare monsters shouldn't be on the surface, warning a massive procession is coming. Goblins pour out, multiplying. This must be the dungeon. Mew asks about dungeons, so Toru explains they're deep pits crawling with powerful monsters. It's like the Great Abyss, an expansion outpost whose depths hold a black hole. Every dungeon hides this black hole, rumored to lead straight to the Great Abyss. The labyrinth's lord protects it. Miasma pours from the black hole, and left unchecked, monsters will multiply. Mew tells Toru this is an invasion. Toru confirms it, warning that if surface monsters aren't wiped out, shrinking territory will trigger the invasion. If all dungeon monsters emerge and seize surface territory, it's a double invasion. Mew asks to fight, but Toru refuses. 2 people can't survive a goblin horde. He adds that they can only notify the nearest sawmill. 3 sawmills are in the forest, but they can warn them all. Toru and Sarah rush to head back, and Mew's totally on board. Toru burns a triangle. Mew asks what it is. He explains it's a wall-restoring reward, an incendiary mixture and igniting cylinder. Monsters hate its smell. He says it'll work on hobgoblins too, and hurls a rock into their lair. Goblins panic, look around. Toru yells, girls, run this way. The 4 hunt, but Soku warns Rikaru they're not ready. Rikaru insists attacking is faster. Hisoku warns they barely survived last time, but Ricardo mocks his fear, insisting they'll never know without trying. The girl curses, how much longer will this continue? She hates this routine. Girl turns to Sassen, their leader, demanding he speak. Sisson says it's no use, she's leaving them, that's just how guys are. The squad wasn't always this bitter, but Sisson understands their anger. Days ago, a new girl arrived, crushing her first day. Since then, their squad's vibe shifted. It's all about Sarah. Childhood friends Rikaru and Hisoku left their village, met magician Alacia at the border, and have been a squad for 6 months. Wealth and status await if they grind, but they have 0 talent. The earth shakes, an armored boar emerges. They panic as the monster growls and targets them. Soho asks if it's an armored boar, but it's massive with extra legs. Ricardo steps forward. Sun screams he can't win, but Ricardo shouts back that he's ending this. The monster charges him. He leaps, sword swinging, but it doesn't even scratch it. Monster's snout shoves Ricardo back, crashing him into a tree, mouth bleeding. Others scream his name, panicking. Ricardo turns to them, voice trembling, telling them to run. The monster stomps at the others. Sisson draws his shield, yells run. Soku trembles, then freezes. Sisson flees, leading the animal. Alicia films. Sesson plans to tank a few hits to buy them time. Alicia tries healing Ricardo, pleading him to speak, but he just stares blankly, unresponsive. A sea of screams, his first-level healing water won't heal him. She hears a sound, turns. The monster's fang pierces the shield and skewers Sesson's chest. The beast yanks its head back to pull it free. Season clings to his fang, barely whispering for help, before slipping, hitting a tree and landing face down. Police sobs, shakes, disbelieving her eyes. The monster stares right at her. Ricardo stands, orders her to run. She hugs him, screams she won't leave. The monster charges, but an arrow slams into its forehead, fired by Soku's trembling hands. Monster turns, Alicia screams. Run! He fires an arrow as Alicia covers Ricardo, but he can't move. He always freezes. The monster slays Hisoka, destroying his weapons. She screams his name, weeping. His Soku lies shattered. She looks back at her comrades who argued moments ago, bewildered. Her magic spent, this is her last stand. She heals Rikaru. She speaks, giving water to her children striving for the Lord of the Tree of Life. The monster turns to them. Alicia stands knowing she saved Rikaru. Terrified, she approaches the monster. Ricardo spots a silhouette, mistaking it for the god of death, as Alicia grips her weapon and feels a hand on her shoulder. Toru tells her she did great, everything's okay now, she cries. Ricardo stands asking what happened. Alicia scans the area. Toru yells for Sarah to take over as Mew begs for power. Sarah obeys. Mew unleashes a thunderstorm. Toru rushes to Hisoka. Alicia sees him alive, hope igniting as Toru races past the monster to Season, touches and revives him, Season recognizing him. Toru swiftly attacks the armored boar, but his sword slips, doing no damage. Toru sees the fender needle fading, scrambling for a solution. He spots a tree, sprints to it, climbs the trunk but then weakens, the thunder needle's effect gone. He drops from the hollow and bolts. He touches a tree, instantly pinning the boar between the trunks. No one understood. Alicia asks what the old tree just did. Mew shouts Thor's incredible, faster than the thunderstorm. Shocked by his strength, Toru stares at his trembling palm. Rikaru demands answers, but Alicia collapses in tears, completely clueless. Rikaru panics as Mew calms her, stroking her head. Toru stabs the armored boar, it groans. Toru thinks it's definitely an armored boar, but it's huge and those legs. Shan approaches, apologizes, and thanks him for saving them. Toru dismisses it, confessing he was just hunting him. Season asks why he saved them. Toru silences him with a finger to his lips. Susanna apologizes again, but Toru points out the extra legs. Susanna confirms it's a rare special species he's faced before. Unhunted monsters multiply. Habitat loss sparks mutations, forging battle-hardened special species. Toru warns Shisen that goblins are swarming from a nearby cave, leaving him shocked. Toru asks for help. Rikaru wonders if it's a big problem, and Soku agrees it is. Alicia asks Sison who picks Toru. They share a silent nod. Toru warns they're in boar territory and must leave, but Sarah won't ditch their prey, and New asks if he's lost his appetite. Toru, they'll pick him up on return, so go with him. Mew can't wait to get back. Lumber mills dot the northeast, southeast, and forest path. Reaching the path, Toru calls it excellent. He orders them south, but the trio hits the northern sawmill. A man happily greets Toru, but as he explains goblins swarm from a nearby cave, making it dangerous, panic grips him. He screams this cannot be. He shouts a sound signal to evacuate the cave. An invasion is coming, so the city needs a signal smoke to prepare. Peru tells them to run, they'll handle the rest. The man shouts, we're counting on you. They spot the second signal, and Toru knows Sinan's group pulled it off. The man shouts he sees the wall, no time to rest, they're so close. Toru thinks they know, but the tower isn't sending blue smoke. Sending half the guards to Basalia clearly backfired. Taru tells the girls to stick with Arili since she's 100 times stronger. Mo looks at Toru, sadly saying he has business, tells her to wait like a good girl. Mew begs to join him, but Toru promises to return and leaves Sarah in her care. Mew stays silent, looking sad. Toru cups her cheeks, calling her a good girl. Rue bolts as Sarah yells for him to stay safe. At the gate, Carlos asks where the old man is. She says Toru had business. Carlos rages he's busy at a time like this. Carlo warns red smoke means danger, then Mew crashes his cart into his leg. Carlos writhes, demanding answers, but Mew screams at the creep to leave Sarah alone. Sarah awkwardly insists everything is fine. Sarah warns it's not over, goblins are swarming out of the cave. Carlos insists it's impossible, the cave was cleared 10 days ago. Preparing an invasion would take another month. Scarless thinks the old man can't be wrong about this. He mutters, it's bad, the South Sawmill boys are still missing. Carlos says blue smoke is visible, a sign if he's hurt on return. He bolts up, shouts at Sarah to go, they need to hurry. Sarah yells for him to wait, she'll help. Carlos refuses to take Sarah. She's a rookie with barely 10 days of experience, and this invasion is no place for a kid. Plus, if he takes her, the old man will beat him senseless. Sarah stays to guide people through the forest. Sarah tells Mew she's busy and asks her to head home alone. Moosh dismisses it, no point discussing. She has no idea what she's saying. Mew tells her Saru entrusted Toru to her, making it Mew's job, so they head into the forest to help people. Sarah points to the outer gate, others panic, screaming to hurry or get caught. Sarah asks what happened. Spotting her G-rank badge, the man warns her to get inside. A huge boar's in there, he thought they were dead. Another ad blamed them. They ignored the 4 warnings, delaying their escape. Another claims one shield was pierced, but seeing the second smoke signal, they knew it was true and panicked, fleeing. Near the outer walls, a giant boar attacked. 4 companions diverted its attention, allowing their narrow escape. Sarah eagerly asks what happened. He replies dejected, if only he knew. He'll tell the gate guards, hoping it helps. Sarah tries to speak, but the man cuts her off, saying they can blame them all they want. It's just an adventurer's job. Sarah hates being helpless, but Mew feels nothing, only following Toru's orders. Sarah smiles, calling Mew a good girl. Stroking her head, she spots a cow lick. She touches him, Mew screams. Sarah apologizes, asks if Mew's in pain. Mew replies no, she's fine, just a strange feeling. She scratches the little curl, laughs, asks if she likes it, and Mew loves it. Mew tells her to keep going, but Sarah finds a second one on her head. Sarah asks Mew if they're truly close, and he confirms it. Sarah squats, asking to try the union. She tells him to watch as her charm grows stronger. She struggles to express her love. Mew asks if Sarah will hate her when they become one. She assures him she won't. Mew asks if she'll get mad, but Sarah swears she won't. Suddenly, panicking people burst from trees, an armored boar in pursuit. They tense. The beast lunges, but Sarah's appeal slams it into a barrier, shattering its face. Sarah screams at him to run, he thanks her. The monster rises, Sarah grabs the cart rope, tells Mew to hold tight. They flee, Mew yells, the boars awake. Magic stones spill from the sleds. Sarah knows there's no time to worry about them. They sprint for the gate with everything they've got. Guards scream for speed as the monster closes in. They cross the threshold. Sarah sighs in relief, tells Mew they succeeded, but Mew isn't there. While Rikaru distracted the boar for their escape, Hisoku shot arrows from the bushes. Sinan hid behind a tree, prepping his weapon, remembering Toru's warning. The upgraded boar's extra legs boost its speed but make sharp turns impossible. Sinan throws a rock at the boar, hoping it provides enough cover to dodge. Sign admits they can't fight an armored boar head-on. They just need to stall for the workers' escape and survive. Suddenly, Carlos appears, apologizes for the wait, and says he'll take care of him now. 3 others emerge from bushes, celebrating Carlos's arrival. The monster charges, but Carlos wounds both its legs, then plunges his last spear into its mouth. Carlos tells him to shut his pig snout. This is the end, he yells, hurling his spear at the monster. An electric flash surprises Carlos. His electrocuted spear smashes the monster's face, leaving nothing. Carlos smiles as kids approach. He calls the invasion a rumor, telling him to hurry or they'll miss the festival. Sarah frantically hunts for Mew, asking everyone about the child, but a man hasn't seen her since the outer gate. Sarah panics, slamming the gate. Fear stops her, asking what she's doing. Does she want to kill them all? Sarah says Mew disappeared. Rikan nudges her, feigning concern. He locks the gate. Sarah begs him to wait. Rikan tells her to die alone, but Sarah yells that Mew is still outside. Reckon screams at her to stop being reckless. Opening that gate is suicide, and it's too late, she's likely already dead. Others shout they know his name, warning him to watch his mouth. Another screams he closed the gates, knowing they were inside. Rickon defends saving the city, but his duty is fighting monsters. Indignant, they insist Sarah protected them, yelling Rickon's paid well to do his job, not lie around all day. The second guy shouts he can solo the beast as an ex-adventurer, but Rika stutters that a shield bearer can't win alone. Rickon bolts from the gate with the mob in pursuit as Sarah hears Mew summon a thunderstorm. She abruptly knocks the huge gate, asking for Mew. Sarah only hears her vow to protect her sister. Sarah remembers Toru's words. When the gate closed, Mew jumped off the sled to lighten it, ensuring silence. Sarah trembles, crying, regretting not listening to Thor, not going to the city from the start. Sarah shouts through the gates to Mew, requesting she listen just this once to become one with her. They hear battle. Sarah screams, begging for it to stop, fearing death as Mew unleashes his electric spike, yet she fights on. Sarah screams they still have so much to do, they haven't even cleared the food stalls. She wants to hit the bathhouse and stroke her curls again. Mew asks Sarah if she means her iron things. Sarah says yes, she'll iron her as much as she wants. She asks if she'll hate her once they merge, but Sarah screams, never, I've no reason to hate you. Mew asks if Sarah will grow sick or cruel, but Sarah screams it'll never happen. Mew remembers her mother's cruelty and how she cried non-stop. Sarah says she'd never say that or be cruel to her. She tells her Toru always saved her, so now it's her turn. If Mew wants to go, she'll take Toru. Tearfully, Sarah tells Mew she loves her. Soon, smoke appears under the gate. Sarah catches on, starts digging. She flings dirt aside, screaming her name. Then she feels the palm. Sarah reaches out, calls Mew, and touches her, instantly overcome by a strange sensation. Sarah spots it, a boar charges. She instantly uses her appeal, the boar slams the barrier, blood gushes from its mouth. The monster keeps charging, so Sarah uses her appeal again. The boar's fangs are already cracking. On the third appeal, the monster's fangs shatter. 9 words versus 14 words, cut 5, claws 2, and then the boar's muzzle completely separates from the body and the man gasps, watches the monster die, then she wonders if he's dead. She grabs the stick, smacks her face, smiles, then shouts she won again and is incredibly strong. Beyond the gate, exhausted Sarah thinks, I defeated him. She collapses unconscious. 90 minutes after the signal, Harrison's flag rose over the clock tower as the guild assembled. With top adventurers leaving for Bassalia, about 30 ranged fighters and gatekeepers defended the wall. Another 40 adventurers formed a combat unit, charging from the gate to counterattack. Gatekeepers below E-rank and many low-rank adventurers stood ready in the city square if gates or walls breached. A commander shouts that a massive enemy force is storming the north gate. Below, goblins ride armored boars while giant caterpillars and monsters swarm the ground. Boars smash the wall while slugs and caterpillars stack up, letting goblins climb over. Someone shouts, "I'll deal with these goblins." The second yells, "Don't be reckless, don't stick your head out." The goblin hurls a stone at his head, and the explosion kills him instantly. Slugs grab legs, panic-stricken people get dragged down and finished below. It's been ages since a real fight. He orders a total cleanup, shouting that they're outnumbered and must stop them with everything they've got. They obey him. Against superior numbers, mages combine spells. Earth mages use magnetic shields to block goblin stones. Archers fired while behind the walls, support squads played valor songs, boosting morale and crushing fear. Fire and lightning mages unleash magic to decimate goblin hordes. Suddenly, slugs fly, one shouts caustic bullets. A painful groan, tired of waiting, they're finally here. It's hobgoblin shamans. Archer fires tracking arrows, sniping goblin mages with perfect headshots. Commander yells, "Excellent, I'm leaving a melee unit on them." Soldiers attack goblins from below. Monsters fall, then Dan, armored, steps forward. People can't tell who the real monster is, typical of their boss. His roaring lightning erupts, sending people into a panic, then instantly obliterates all monsters, even the boars. A huge hole rips open. A soldier mutters, "He overdid it." Another yells, "Behind the walls," before the rain starts. Rain pours as Daden grips the wall, shouting they somehow held them back. Thoris reports only the northern wall was fixed, so the monsters struck there. They attacked the fortified wall, but he realized the hobgoblins were smarter than he thought, and their leader was gone. Daden TSKS says it was a diversion, then looks to the sky. Just before the northern wall battle, Taru rushes to rebuild the southern wall. Rustling catches his eye as he spots groups of hobgoblins patrolling the forest. Toru questions why goblin tracks lead here, why they'd hide in the forest instead of attacking the wall. The northern wall battle has started, and he considers retreating for backup. He scraps the idea. If that's the hobgoblin's goal, it's too late to reach the north wall. He remembers 10 years ago, vowing he won't allow this again. He won't lose his lucky dinner table, but then he sees goblins smashing through the wall. Tor realizes the attack was a distraction and clenches his fists. He wonders if he can defeat the forest hobgoblins without disturbing the wall crew. He tried to immobilize the armored boar, but even after lightning needles ended, it still moved fast for a while. He remembers pushing every cell to the limit, but can he do it again? He draws his sword, deciding he must try. He bursts from the bushes screaming, sword flashing, blindsiding the goblins. Toru swings his sword, decapitating goblins, then hides behind a tree from the overwhelming numbers. His hand trembles from strain, but he recovers, realizing he can deal with them. A dark aura hits him. Is this the mastermind behind the northern wall diversion? Is this the hobgoblin leader? Toru realizes it's their strongest warrior. The wall collapses, goblins break through. Toru knows the city can't withstand a two-sided attack at this rate. He approaches, the goblins spot him, and he instantly slices a head off. Toru restores the wall, shocking and enraging the goblins. Goblins surround Thor, 10 having breached the city. They attack, he swings his swords, beheading and dismembering them. A goblin wounds him. He tries to heal himself with a trembling hand, but a goblin charges him. The goblin takes Thor's sword, plunging both into his stomach. Thor bleeds, raising his hand to plunge his knife into a goblin's eye. Exploiting the shock, Toru kicks the goblin in the chest, sending him reeling. Toru screams, ripping the knife from his gut and coughing blood. The goblins watch in horror as his wound heals instantly, leaving no trace behind. He keeps beheading goblins as a prayer, asks the ice god to grant sinners eternal rest. Someone cast the Ashen clan's ice sleep spell, distracting their targets and knocking them out cold. The goblins drop. Toru realizes only one person in the city wields this ice magic. Ural approaches him. With goblins sleeping upright, the mistress smiles, congratulating Thor's return. Toru asks the owner why she's here. She sighs, explaining attacks make housing here cheap. Goblins wake, but Toru takes their heads before they can react. The northern victory horn is silent. He must act before the hobgoblin chief and his army escape. He turns to his mistress. She nods, admitting she can't fight long but insists on helping. Toru smiles, nods, then palms the wall, restoring it. Only 3 uses remain. Goblins smash the wall and swarm in, but Euro casts a spell telling them to find peace. Toru slaughters them while they hibernate. A second goblin group bursts in, their leader sending fog from behind. Ural contrast ice crystals freeze goblins in terror. Thor's swords flash, leaving them bleeding, trembling, powerless. Toru, stunned, inhaling these tiny crystals, completely shut down the hobgoblin's healing. He hacks them to pieces, then turns and catches the owner just before she collapses. She spammed low-level skills, hitting every enemy repeatedly. Interrupting their movements caused their exhaustion. She used immense magical energy. Mistress leans against him as more goblins swarm, and Toru targets the moment her magic peaked. He restores it. Goblins enter, see the bodies, and try to flee, but their leader arrives and kills them instantly. Thor spots the hobgoblin leader. He asks Urele to go. She asks if Thor made even her hip pain vanish. Toru tells her to rest while he handles things, but Urel warns it takes 5 F-rankers to kill the hobgoblin chief. This looks like the E-rank hero test. Toru tells her not to worry, he'll be fine, just watch from a distance. Uriel understands, leaving him to it. Ureleaves growls as Thoru shakes with excitement, his skin now tough as armor and covered in thick fur. He wonders if his steel blade can cut it. The monster attacks, so Toru decides to aim for its head or limb edges. Monster swings weapon, but Rumologist dodges, then strikes its face with his sword. Enraged, the monster attacks again with its huge bone. Toru sidesteps again. The goblin's face smokes, his wound vanishes, and he licks the blood away. Toru realizes it's useless. Even hitting unprotected spots, his enemy just regenerates all damage. He stands, hands and sword trembling. He knows his blade has one target left. Toru suddenly attacks the monster's eyes with his sword, but it raises its forearms, blocking. The monster breathes smoke as Toru barely hangs on. The goblin slips and Toru strikes its eyes. The monster screams in pain, covers his eyes, then stumbles as Toru attacks again, unleashing a flurry. The monster grabs Thor by the collar. Thor realizes he's caught. He touches the wall and triggers Restore, making it expand and knocking Toru back. The wall pins the goblin, blinding him. Rocks crush him. Toru pants, realizing he restored the wall, sealing the hobgoblin's hole. Uriel approaches, praising his hard work. He turns and thanks the mistress. Young Uriel leaves Thor speechless. His jaw drops and his face flushes red. She asks why he's blushing, but he awkwardly mumbles it's nothing. Toru stabs the goblin leader's head. He asks if the two returned home. She says no. Toru wonders why the owner hasn't noticed the change. Toru can't secretly recover, he's out of uses. Uriel says she'll handle things here, telling him to hurry back to the gate. Thor thanks her and rushes off, leaving Uriel to plan today's meal. Rain stops, drops cling to plants as Carlos tells Thor he's late. The party's over, Season's group stands by him. Thor's surprised, I thought the rally point was elsewhere, but you 4 figured it out here. After horses ate, they faced another armored boar. Carlos saved them, then they met Sarah and Mew at the gate and guarded the area. Carlos says before gatekeepers arrived, they united, rampaged, and hunted down forest troops. Toru claims he's owed, but a blushing Carlos tells him to forget the debt and find his own path. Someone calls Thor. He turns to see Mew and Sarah sprinting, then they hug him tight. Carlos's group watches warmly. Tohiro realizes Sarah used the conversion, draining all her magic. Sarah finally realizes that risking your life for someone else takes massive willpower. She regrets not realizing this sooner, wishing she'd returned to the city immediately. Toru understands this, her realization matters most. Mew asks how she beat the boar, Sarah says she did. Toru stares, then pulls them into a tight hug as the girls blush and cheer. Torai, they gave their all. He's just glad they're safe, blaming himself for letting the adults handle it. Sarah objects, blaming herself for failing something simple. Mew says she protected Sarah just as told. Sarah tugs Mew's cheeks, warning her to stop defending her or she'll snap, but Mew reminds her she promised to stay calm. Toru watches them and smiles, wondering if they're finally bonding. The next day, after the Goblin Forest attack on Danon City, Siko's troops returned. The report confirmed details of an ongoing investigation. The destroyed area near Basalia transformed into a huge dungeon. High-ranking adventurers burst into the dungeon, eliminating all threats. The real problem, this infiltration hit right before the goblin attack. At Choi's, Peter asks Sako if yesterday's goblin attack linked to Basalia's dungeon destruction. Sako says it's his assumption. Further investigation is needed to determine the cause. Sako adds, weak defenses and goblin sabotage distracted everyone, letting them infiltrate. A passing seeker easily defeated the last, but their efforts utterly failed. He laughs and thanks the seeker. Without him, Basalia's tragedy would have repeated. Sako snaps it's no joke and Danon gets the point. He wants the gate guards thinned out. Dad shouts he won't sit by, using his savings to rebuild the wall. Sako drinks, calmly stating he decides what to do, and he'll voice his opinion to the committee next meeting, adding they must reward yesterday's brave fighters. Danon sighs as the mood drops. With fewer people and more work, morale is hitting rock bottom. Sako calls it inevitable. No civilian casualties means it's not the worst, but guards closing the gate on people makes them look awful. Danon insists they must thank them. Soko notes only 3 guards died compared to 112 9 years ago. Danon says he can't believe his stupid student became so capable. Sako says the one was with another seeker, but the waiter interrupts, gushing about nameless heroes who crushed dozens of hobgoblins and their leader. The waiter says a rumor claims one hero's a broom-wielding beauty, and the city buzzes hunting these heroes. Dadon declares Toru a man exceeding all expectations. Sako agrees and they keep drinking. Deton recalls Sako mentioned Lady Euro, and as a man who can't be fooled, he's sure it was her. Sako smiles, her beauty always amazes him. Didn't suggest since Toru restored her youth, he can fix Sako's rough look too. Sako's desires can wait, bigger things await. Dadon asks Basalia, Sako demands what happened. Sako reveals they cleared the dungeon but the boss was tough, sealing it won't be easy. He pushes Toru to get stronger. Toru then meets Carlos. He asks if he's leaving his post and the city, confirming he's leaving with Rikan. For abandoning the innocent at the gates, Rikan lost his seeker rank and was banished from the city. They've been partners for years, so he won't ditch him now. Carlos rethinks everything, certain they can fix this together. Carlos tells Tora to apologize to Sarah for skipping restaurants, then calls Mew a squeaker, telling her to tell Sarah Carlos is cool. Teru warns it's tough, Carlos knows he won't lie. Carlos smirks. Toru extends his fist, Carlos offers his wristless hand. Toru calls it his parting gift. He remembers their hunts and restoring knives, admitting he's reached his limit. Carla breaks down, insisting the skill isn't useless, it's actually incredible. Carlos's arm regrows. He stares at his hand as Toru turns and leaves. Ural grills meat for a hyped Mew and Sarah. Mew asks if it's a meat party, while Sarah tells Thor these thick cuts are amazing. Ural lists other dishes: roast ribs with white beans, new round potatoes, and onions. They serve meat skewers with a soft, strong-smelling filling. Ural says plenty remains, urging them to eat heartily. Toru accidentally made the mistress young, but turning her old again after regaining beauty and health would be awkward. Plus, she clearly loved it when he asked. Mew offers bon appetit. Everyone eats. Sarah and Mew fly away, blissful from the food's taste. Everyone eats, even the cats devour meat under the table. Sarah's so stuffed she can't take a step. Toru blames the 5 plates she devoured, but she ignores him. Uriel hopes they enjoyed her cooking. Toru thanks her for the delicious dinner. She calls it her gift for defeating the 2 armored boars. Their blue tokens prove it. Mew complains it's unfair, she's the only one without a blue token. Toru tells her not to worry, she'll get F rank quickly, she's the strongest. Most smiles, confirming it's true. Ural regrets his E rank promotion was delayed. He beat the hobgoblin chief but didn't conquer the dungeon. Toru regrets missing a dungeon skill but is glad he didn't stand out. He adds he kept monsters from the city and earned much gold. Armored Boar Skin crafts new gear. He feels he's making progress. Uro smiles. Toru tells her he wants to ask something and she asks what. Toru invites her to join the squad and Sarah and Mew are hyped. Yarel thanks him for the invitation, but an old woman will only slow them down. Toru asks about another problem, she immediately twitches. He takes her hand, offers help, asking to look. He scans her memories but finds her entire past perfectly clean. He spots a black hole at her tree's roots, wondering what it is. This curse blocks skill points and stunts magic growth. Uro reveals Toru sees skills without a measuring device. Her face falls as she reveals this cursed fruit forced her to quit adventuring. She recalls the temple head visiting her village, but no one knew what he wanted in such a godforsaken place. She demands to meet Eurolirial, but the shocked group calls her a damned witch. Someone silences her, warning her to watch her mouth. At Ural's, she double-checks the teaching offer. It's official, and she thanks her guest for the long journey. She rejects the offer. The leader asks if the hero candidate quit because of the mage killer, but she stays silent. Temple Master says usually, beating the dungeon lord and sealing the skill tree's black hole spawns a new fruit, but one labyrinth holds a skill that curses mages. Then she calls it a rumor. Kicked from her party or just tired of the life, her reason for quitting doesn't matter. He asks White Ice Uriel for her wisdom, and she reveals the temple head appointed her as a teacher. She poured her dreams into the next generation, helping them grow. Toru now understands. Toru checked the curse's effect. It reduces monster skill points tenfold and gradually drains magic, which should grow over years. Panicking, he tracked her peak magic and revived her instantly. Sarah asks if his skill can wipe it out. Toru claims skill branches allow infinite recovery, but the recovery's time reversal effect traps the skill fruit on its trunk. Sarah asks to look, Uriel tells her to try. She asks Mew for help, but Mew replies she's too full to move. Sarah warns her, fall apart after eating and she'll turn into a fat cat. They sit next to Uriel, Mew grabs her hands, declaring their beginning. Instantly, all 4 appear before Yuri's treat. Uriel's stunned by the clear view, Sarah calls it amazing, and Mew brags she's the reason why. Sarah's busy and puts it off, stroking her swirled hair. Sarah approaches the fetus, closes her eyes. Others panic, asking what she'll do. Sarah acts, the fruit lights up. Growth acceleration boosts skill points and magic growth. Toru realizes Sarah's skill reversed the curse. Sarah admits she just took a chance and asks how she feels. Earl doesn't answer. The mistress throws herself into her arms, crying. Sarah smiles and hugs her. Toru pulls Uriel's hand. Suddenly, someone between them screams for air. Mew sat on Sarah's lap, Uriel crushing her with her arms. Toru smiled, joining their hug. Reaching the guild, Sarah notes it's dead empty today. Toru wraps it up, the Basilia mission is over, and the elites are back to their hunting grounds. Sarah and Mu leave to prepare, promising to return soon. Toru warns, don't overdo it. Thor assures Uriel it's fine, urging them to go, and she counts on him for the tour. It's empty, but someone's shouting. Toru tells Uriel to find another stand. Toru asks the twin-tailed clerk to register a new adventurer, and she distractedly agrees. Seeing Uriel, she blushes and stutters, hesitantly greets them, mentions registration applications, introduces herself as Marika, then asks their name. Uriel introduces herself, pleased to meet her. Marika hands her a paper, asking Uriel to fill the registration form. She laughs, saying it's nice to see the letters clearly. Toru asks the worker about the introducer's token needed for new adventurer registration, then shows his own for the worker to see. Marika checks the paper, 22 years old and from Stola. She smiles, accepting the truth with zero issues. They force Jura Lairl, known as Uriel, to register as their granddaughter, calling her Jura. Marika puts down the ball, asking if she can touch it. Uriel reaches out, touching the ball. Toru's amazed by Uriel's skill tree. Even the 3 lower branches of ice cream, ice crystals, and snow cover are fully grown, and skill fruits hang from all top branches. The mid-level Iceflower Camp skill tree is fully grown, and Freezing Mist has little left. All skill trees max at level 9, and though not all will grow, she already has 4. Marika says she's incredible, then ponders her rank before happily announcing B. Toru indignantly asks why newbies don't start at G rank. Marika snaps, asking what he wants. He keeps butting in. Toru denies it, just checking if the system changed. Her high rank would be problematic. Adventurers over 2 ranks apart can't party, limiting their hunting grounds. Toru spots a familiar worker and halts the procedure to check something, making Marika snap that she works there too. Uriel calms her, apologizes, asking her to wait. Marika instantly smiles, answering she'll wait as long as needed. He adds a condition, Uriel must let her touch her hair. She blushes, looking at Uriel. A customer argues at the counter, demanding the hero's name, but the clerk refuses to reveal his identity. The visitor pushes for his initials, but she refuses, fearing even those could give him away. The visitor, a woman, states they'll achieve nothing this way. She thinks, then asks again. She asks the worker what they can do about her age after all her sacrifices. She starts to say it's not enough, but the visitor cuts her off, angrily demanding if they can't even tell her age. Toru approaches, declares he's 39 and asks if they're done. He turns to Anna, asking for a minute, and she asks what happened. Toby's registering a high-ranking friend. Anna asks if the device already tested her, and Toby confirms it. Anna's sorry, but rank changes are impossible. The new, efficient system now ties higher ranks to skill tree progress. Toru cursed his carelessness. After using the device, he can't restore the hostess's skill tree. A uniformed man intervenes, apologizing. He thinks Toru wants to squad up with the lady he brought, Shika, head of the support squad. Toru wants her rank lowered, but Shika says they can only give her a C. Toru thinks if that happens, they'll need E rank for a squad. Shika smiles, saying his squad's promotion means no problems. No squad has cleared the Goblin Cave Ranky test. He offers them discovery priority and asks Toru for his take. The invasion's Goblin Cave, monsters defeated but the caves unconquered. Days since the Labyrinth Lord's defeat, the Hobgoblin leaders already reborn. Toru understands and agrees. The girl who grilled Ina about Toru asks if he's the mysterious hero. She adds he's older than she thought, asking if he's proving himself before retiring. Toru begs for forgiveness and admits he lied. Stunned, she asks if it's actually true. The guy behind her calls it another lie. Confused and angry, she snaps, is it a lie? She was just curious about the man who ditched fame, so Toru tells her their business is over. She catches up and demands he wait, claiming she isn't finished. Toru turns back, asking if she has anything left to say. She shouts he'll conquer the dungeon, challenging him, who defeats the dungeon lord first. The guy behind her says the dungeon is small, so only one can enter at a time. She thinks uneasily. She lets Toru go first. He smiles in relief, telling her he owes her one. Her guy warns her move risks a third party winning. They're unregistered and can't challenge the dungeon. Still furious, she chases Toru, pointing her finger and screaming for him to watch his back. Mu asks Thor to take a bath. The girl blushes, surprised by the child, wondering, is he married? Sarah comes out, bows her head, saying she is his beloved wife. Confused, the girl calls them liars since she never heard he had a family, but the man tells her to relax, assuming she knows Mr. Toru. Sarah greets them, introduces herself as Toru's squadmate, then introduces Mew. Mew invites her to the bath, offering to wash her back. Bettina introduces herself, her butler Godin behind her. Godin says it's nice to meet them, but Toru grumbles he didn't want to. Moose offers to get along. Godin sits, thanks her, and hands her a piece of candy. She pops the candy, loving the honey taste, as Sarah and Thor offer some too. Bettina laughs, ordering her to keep sucking until next time, then apologizes and leaves with Godin. They flee. Toru wonders what possessed her. Meanwhile, Marika combs Ural's hair. She calls the box superb and Urali's hair silky. Ural admits it's pricey, but swears by its incredible softness. Shika approaches Ural, tray in hand, apologizing for the wait. He hands her the tray, revealing an adventurer's token. Ural thanks them. Sarah loves the mature black frame, and Muse hyped grandma's finally an adventurer like her. Toru apologizes for making her wait. He invited her. Ural says don't worry, it wasn't his fault. Mershika screams, shocked Ural missed B rank, then orders her back to work. Toru vows to clear the cave and catch up fast, asking her to wait. She nods, claiming she's more patient than he thinks. Sarah smiles, says it'll be ready fast. Mew adds she'll make it perfect. Next day, after registering, Toru and his party hit the Goblin Cave. To hit rank E, they must slay the Hobgoblin chieftain deep in the cave within 15 days. But it won't be easy. The dungeon walls are packed with minerals. When exploring Goblin Caves, miners accompany them and squads ensure safety. Constant miasma in this 3-level cave makes slain hobgoblins respawn in just hours. Miners only work safe hours. They enter the Goblin Cave. Sarah asks Toru if exploring the cave while digging is quicker, but he replies, fighting's forbidden while mining crystals that would draw miners. They push ahead, balancing monster slaying and mining. Toru orders the miners to gear up for the first floor. A miner doubts their safety with the squad's child. Another replies knowing the guild gave permission, so they wait. They enter a dark cave. Sarah, unable to see, wants to light the lantern, but Thor warns the light will draw hobgoblins. Sarah can't see where she's going. She bumps into something, making noise. Toru remembers Mu's eyes see in the dark. Mu confidently takes over. Her power activates. Sarah's amazed. They see in total darkness. Mu's incredible. A rock hurtles toward them, but Toru blocks it with his sword. They arrived fast. Hearing movement, he tells the girls to follow from a distance. He advances, deflecting rocks. 2 monsters leap to attack. One swing decapitates both. A goblin hurls a rock, but Toru shields himself with a corpse and charges forward to skewer him. Miners drink, one claiming they won't return soon and offering snacks. Another agrees, laughing. Toru and the girls burst from the cave. The kid asks if they quit, but Toru shocks everyone by announcing they're already done. Toru tells the miners they can go after clearing the first level. They don't believe him, asking if it's true. It's not even an hour. Toru displays severed goblin ears. The miners stand in shock, mouths agape. The miner asks if it's safe. Toru confirms, certain not a single one remains. Sarah smiles, praising their great cleanup, and Mew confirms her hard work made it safe. Head miner tells them to stop being lazy, it's time to work. Another is indignant, he just talked about snacks. They enter the cave together. Sarah spots Toru's sagging sword belt, but he just blames his old age. She asks why he can't restore it. Toru explains his power only fixes combat gear, specifically weapons and armor hit directly. Sarah gets it. Toru says that's great and suggests they clear the monsters while miners dig. He spots Mew piling rocks with the miners. Toru asks why she's with them during their break. Sarah replies Mew finds piling rocks fun, she's totally opened up to them. Toru calls Mew to the cave, where she confesses she's tired of the same old thing. Toru's squad proved their skill and more miners joined every day. Days later, 20 miners worked the cave, and a new guard squad arrived to defend the camp from monster attacks. Chisen's crew arrives, thanking Toru for his effort. Rikaru tells them to watch their backs as Soku and Alessia reunite after ages. Sarah's happy, noting their long absence. Toru heard they'll guard them home too. Chisen credits Thor. Ricard asks if he suddenly got brave or just stopped fearing everything. Hisoku used to swing his sword like a maniac, but now he knows when to retreat. Ricard notes he can even fire a bow without posing, while Alessia relaxes as her healing job lightens. Toru smiles at their words. Alessia remembers and says she wants to ask Toru something. Toru instantly thinks of mining and agrees since they gave up the rights. Everyone's happy, Mew too. Toru stops her, says they're not her. Mew irritably wants to dig too. Toru asks why she loves the hole. She says rocks are fun, one hit and the pile crumbles. Toru agrees once goblins are cleared he'll help Mew, so Mew must be patient. She understands it's a promise. 5 days in, they gathered enough ore. A miner notes they'll soon clear the first level, advancing quicker than ever. They expected nothing special. Miner insists Sarah and Mew's cuteness would fool anyone. Other agrees, absolutely right. Sarah blushes, Mew's happy. Gather asks if they're hitting level 2 tomorrow, worried they're rushing. Toru says the first floor is cleared, so they'll wait and see. The miner praises their quick work but warns against overworking. The loggers recount their rescue, and he apologizes for his doubt. Toru sighs, telling them not to worry, he's used to it. Only 10 days remain until the deadline. Days left to conquer the Goblin Cave. Ramo happily greets their quick return. Toru apologizes for the rush. The girls greet Ramo too. Ramo asks Toru if he's doing well. He offers new clothes, everyone changes. Sarah asks if it fits, Toru nods. Remo says the chest drawstring fixes a tight fit, and Sarah points to it, asking if that's the one. Mew points to the hat, asking what it is. The answer, a red hippo skin hat. Mew's stunned. Ramo asks if she likes it, and she admits it feels weird, but she loves it. Mew races to show Sarah and Thor. Sarah touches her elbow, noting its strange softness, yet it hardens when grabbed. Ramos explains they're from an armored bear's layered hump. Romo gazes at them, wishing for a family, but Toru reminds him he's not even 30. Ramo smiles, says he's right. If even he at 40 got a great wife and daughter, it's too early to give up. They stare at Toru. Sarah gushes his robe's beautiful. Mew adds Toru's shiny. Romo says this robe comes from blue-striped swamp serpents. With miasma-soaked skin that's incredibly tough. Treacherous says it's high-grade material worth 20 silver coins. Sarah asks if he can take something so expensive. Ramo winks, claiming he repaired a snake skin cloak, but Toru reveals they stole scraps to make this robe. Rommel asks about the cave, saying their hurry proves hard times. Treacherous says nothing stays hidden in this race against time, but Ramo warns the Lord can't die until enough war is mined. Toru wishes for backup, but Ramo says the miners are just dead weight. Toru remembers, tells Ramo to wait, promising success, then moves hands over the bag and thanks him. Ramo says he made her the pouch for her promotion. Is she even using it? He suggests they look inside. He spots magic stones, asks their origin. Mew replies they're Ohanamaru's food. Ramo demands answers, so Sarah explains it's Mew's favorite sled, named for its flower design and powered by magic stones to fly. Ramo finally gets what she meant by food. Sarah explains Toru's mad because Mew overworks them, and Mew sadly agrees. Sarah smiles, tells Rama she'll earn magic stones by trying hard on adventures. Mew calls it her salary. Ramapats move ahead. Torai says they're leaving and he waves goodbye. Suddenly Sarah turns back with a favor. She whispers in his ear. Ramos says it'll take just days, so Sarah begs him to do it. Ramos smiles, she leaves. On level 2, they clear the goblin cave as Mew blasts lightning, and Toru blocks every strike with rocks. He attacks decapitating goblins. He notices a bullet of decay. As I thought, the second level has hobgoblin shamans with improving teamwork. He easily kills one. Sarah and Mew ask about the spell, but he warns it's a monster skill. Touch it, and you'll suffer the same fate. Mew grabs Saru's gun, touches the smoke, calls it fun as her gun melts. Sarah grabs it and asks if Toru's okay, but he points to his cloak, claiming swamp snake skin makes him immune to such weak toxins. Sarah blames herself for failing, but Toru tells her to relax. Controlling flying objects is tough, and the mantle was built for this. Sarah pauses, then asks to try. Toru's stunned, then he grins. She blasts his cloak with evocation. Toru tries to cut it with his knife, but says it's stronger. Did the skill reverse her defense debuff? Sarah worries he'll spam it, but Toru asks what's next. This is the key to crushing the Labyrinth Lord. Sarah beams at the words. Mew asks, another key, what is it? Is it tasty? As they exit the cave, worried miners ask if all's okay. He trusts them. Toru promises no problems, they'll stop them all. The miner agrees and authorizes the move. Speed gives them the edge, but their bold plan shocks him. Toru replies, cunning defines an adventurer's honor. Come back in 30 minutes. Miner asks if just reaching the first level's end is enough. Toru says it'll trigger the hobgoblin. Toru asks Season if he's reliable. His group confidently replies they are. Entering the cave, Rikura worries for the old man, prompting Hisoku to ask if he's scared. Rikaru asks if it's insane to use the huddled crowd to bait the second-level goblins. The ants make it quick and easy for the old miner, but they fight everything at once. Hisoku laughs, making Rikaru snap. He mocks the selfish guy for finally caring about someone else. 30 minutes later, Shisen shouts it's go time. Ricardo is locked in, but his Soku says he won't even need to fight. Alessia snaps at them to shut up so she can concentrate. Miners shout they're coming in. Toru reports level 1 clear, and Sarah asks Mew for a look. Mew shows off her rock tower, but Toru asks where the other monsters are. Mew, worried about the rocks, asks if it can wait. Toru sternly demands answers now. Mew activates her power and spots a massive goblin army, shouting a warning. Toru cheers as the plan works, telling Sarah to hold the line while she covers his back. Toru asks Mew where the closest are. Mew points. The goblins tense. Toru decapitates them all. Between levels, Toru and Shisen run into each other. Rikaru sees they handled everything, leaving them nothing, and Hisoku knew he wasn't joking. Miner insists only 3 did it. He's mined for years but never seen anything like this. After over a week, the final day left the miner boss speechless. On the final day in the Goblin Cave, Benietta and Godin arrive. She declares the mission a success, calling Toru Mr. Ordinary Hero. Toru asks if they really dropped everything just to visit. Bettina says they're rivals, so she has to watch their moves. Godin claims they're not rivals but admires their mindset. The girl snaps, asking why he's laughing. Sarah meets Betchiana, who prefers Betty. She praises her shirt's quality, then asks to see the shop next time. Sinra says she'll show her the wonderful shop. Sarah suggests they go together. Betty says Mew looks energetic but as small as ever. Mew punches Betty, speechless. Betty asks why Mew hit her. Mew replies if they're rivals she won't be friends. Godin bends, pulls candy, praises her character, and offers it as a reward. Mew says Godin's good can become her servant. He calls the idea great, asks to discuss salary. Mew reveals the stones, asking if these are it. Godin is stunned by their quality. Godin painfully pledges loyalty to Lady Betty, leaving her questioning his hire. Toru declares it's over, time for the final level. They say their goodbyes and depart. Betty tells him to try hard. Sisson believes they can do it, but warns them not to overdo it. Betty insists they can win, so they have to try. Godin thanks her but warns that conquering the dungeon actually means defeat. Betty smiles, tells Godin they'll challenge them again. Toru's squad breeze through the first 2 floors, refresh their skills, and push to the third. They enter a strange, vast room. Toru says the third level is just this room. Mune points, spotting someone. It's the hobgoblin leader with his massive bone weapon. Ural prepares dinner. When cats meow, she serves them meat, warning it's all they get until Thoru and the girls return. The goblin leader unleashes poisonous breath. Toru commands the attack, relying on Mew. Mew immediately unleashes Thunder Needle and Electric Spike. He gains this power. She's used Thunder Force and Electric Spike for 15 days without changing her skill tree. Toru sees Sarah's excitement, tells her to relax. Sarah says she's bursting with enthusiasm. Toru swings his sword, the leader roars. Toru charges, the monster strikes. Toru dodges instantly and severs the monster's weapon hand, leaving it screaming in agony. Toru's second strike grazes his mouth, drawing blood. Toru blurs to a new spot and strikes his neck, wondering if he was always this slow. Soon the monster's wounds heal and the bleeding stops. The girl screams for him to try harder, but Toru just smiles. The monster lunges from behind, but Toru dodges and shocks him through his cloak. Toru knew it worked. Repeatedly casting Sarah's appeal with the hobgoblin's decay bullet paid off. It lasts minutes but is tougher than dragon skin. He raises his sword, sharing the same power. The monster lunges, but Toru takes its head and hacks its limbs to pieces. The cave's black hole vanished, becoming normal ground. Toru knew it disappeared with the Labyrinth Lord's death, but he'd never witnessed it. Girls rush Thor, exclaiming he was so cool and wonderful, though Muth thought he'd lose. They hug, but Toru reminds them they're not done. He earns a skill fruit for conquering the labyrinth. He hits the ground and finds the fruit of accelerated healing, which instantly repairs any injury. Toru finds it weird having recovery, but realizes it's useful for minor wounds. Toru urges them to touch it, and as Mew does, her physical strength instantly surges. Toru praises Mew's new skill, thrilled Mew's grown stronger. Adventurers don't just fight monsters, they mostly travel, so leg enhancements are a godsend. Sarah gives Toru anesthesia, dulling the owner's pain past his limit. Sarah asks if it numbs the pain. Toru says it's a common drop and perfect for a vanguard. Adventurers gain high pain tolerance after their first dungeon clear, but Toru knows it ignores minor scratches and only kicks in for serious damage. Sarah says she feels her skill is useless. New brags she got the perfect one. Toru says it's all down to luck. Only one skill here fits a vanguard and they missed it. Sarah senses trouble, asks if this is their end. Toru replies a collapsing ceiling is problematic once the black hole vanishes, since the dungeon disappears in an hour. He remembers and asks Sarah to test her appeal skill. She aims her weapon at the fruit, warning nothing good will come of it. Toru thinks his work is asterisk an attack and suggests they go back. He steps onto the black hole's crater and feels the ground shift. It's just like the stone slab, definitely worth a look. He tells the girls to back off. Sarah and Mew retreat as he hits the ground to trigger recovery. Everything shakes, Sarah screams. The leader's body regenerates, he's back. Sarah pushes Mew away, the monster pulls Sarah by the hair, Toru screams her name. He remembers it's just like 9 years ago but declares it's different now. He's not alone. He signals Mew, who fires an electric spike, shocking the monster and freeing Sarah. The monster lunges for Sarah, but her appeal freezes it just as Toru slices its head off. Toru checks on Sarah, who credits him for the save. Mew's speed caught her off guard and Sarah apologizes for pushing her. Sarah says his hair pull barely hurt, thinking it's her learned skill. Toru agrees it's likely, so Sarah calls herself lucky. Mew spots another slab. Thor steps up and touches it again. He gains a physical buff like Mew. His old skill is still active, plus he just unlocked a new one. Healing the stone tablet resets the entire labyrinth, so he tells the girls to touch it too. Sora's healing boosts, making Sarah happy. Toru has 6 recoveries left today, but restoring things to before the tablet is impossible. To pull off the Labyrinth Lord's resurrection, he needed to sharpen the blade. With more goblins lurking, they had 2 tries left. Toru suggests trying. Sarah asks if he'll really remove the stone slab. Treacherous steps up, ordering Mew to fire electric spikes and thunder needles while Sarah stays close. Round 3, Toru felt no pain, Mew healed instantly and Sora's strength exploded. On the 4th try, Toru and Sora powered up their magic, and Mew's pain eased. Toru's hype, they each gained 4 skills and suggests heading back. Sarah asks if Toru's ear is proof. He replies no, the dungeon's destruction proves it. Sarah understands the labyrinth master hasn't dropped a single magic stone. Mew's hungry. Toru warns it's too early to relax. The dungeon isn't over until they're out. They exit the cave and the crowd erupts, clapping and rushing to meet them. They escape just as the cave collapses into smoke and dust. At the desk, she tells Thor he's back safe, asking how it went. Torai says they barely survived that brutal 2-week time limit. Inna praises the work and asks if the dungeon is cleared. The miner confirms it vanished, proving these guys are real adventurers. The miner shakes their hand, saying he enjoyed working with them and looks forward to their growth. Congratulates them again, gives them the board with new tokens, and tells them to grab theirs. Returning home, Sarah sees your owl on the porch, shouting it's their mistress. Walking through the city, Yurili asks if she can join, having missed the conquest. Pharaoh assures her she can. It's a promotion celebration and a welcoming party. Mew eagerly asks about a feast. Sarah beams too, but Toru stays mysteriously silent, offering no answer. Reaching the shop, Sarah confirms the spot and they head inside to a warm welcome. Dan announces their arrival. They've started. Sako sits beside him silent. Toru thanks them. Yuro apologizes for the wait. A blushing Dedan says it's fine and asks them to sit. Dan points to a chair, telling Sarah to sit. She replies only 1 chair's left, Moose, and she's too small. Toru points to Mew's lap, but Sarah plops onto Toru's, making eating uncomfortable. Toru calls Mew, who denies telling Sarah. Mew sits on Toru's knee, leaving sad Sarah the other chair. Dadon notes they look well. Mew asks who he is, not recognizing him. Toru reminds her he visited to fix the wall, but Sarah notes his hair was shaggier then. Toru says he used restoration to fix his hair, and Daton bursts out laughing. Dishes arrive, someone suggests eating. Dadon says today it's on him, so take what you like, everyone thanks him. Sako picks expensive items, suggesting they start there. Dedan snaps back, I didn't say you could, skip the priciest drinks and dishes. Sako mocks the former adventurer's pettiness and asks Urela, who admits it's only a little. Sako demands another portion. Ural asks Dan if he's okay, and Dan shouts for the barrel and beans. Toru orders potatoes and sausage again, infuriating Dadon. Toru asks for regular drinks, waiter offers orange juice, Toru orders 2. Toru tells Sarah to order anything. Sarah wants meat, points to a dish and asks what it is. The waiter replies it's a large caterpillar's foot. Sarah loves the soft, delicious flavor. Mew agrees the meatballs are amazing and offers her another bite. Sarah asks what it is. The waiter says it's lizard fat and cartilage, skewered, fried, then stewed. Sarah loves the taste, the waiter thanks them and Mew agrees. Stunned by the flavor, the smiling waiter offers Sarah a plate to try. She sips the broth, surprised it's delicious. The waiter asks if she understands broth is just stewed meat. Sarah grasps the secret. She asks his broth recipe. He says it's a secret he can't reveal but warns cooking is the basis. Ruin the broth and she fails. Sarah repeats, eyeing the hot broth. The waiter says to be good, master the basics. She considers. Potatoes and sausage appear before Toru. Moose calls it delicious and grabs the dish, but Toru warns her to slow down. Toru warns her put it back or it'll burn. She ignores him and shoves the piece in her mouth. Instantly she burns, tears streaming. She screams and cries as Toru warned her. Mu runs to aisle, berries in her legs. She calls Thor stupid. He tells her to listen. He rests his hand on her head. He could heal her, but he won't spoil her. Yuro lifts Mu to her side, hugging her. The Don calls it nostalgia. His son was once like that. Sako agrees he's like his daughter, a strong girl who listens to no one. Toru calls Mew selfish, so Dadon warns him to value what he has, but he's clueless. Didn't asks what to do, love her enough. Didn't explain scolding won't work, he just needs to be there. Toru asks what's next. The Don says it's okay, selfishness is motivation's flip side, so let her vent. Hear her out. Uriel praises the advice, making Dadon blush and claim her beauty makes him feel young again. Sarah points something out, but Mew reveals she's gone. Sarah points to Mr. Mew's chest. Mew's eyes snap open, seeing the badge. She screams like Ohan Amaru, then asks if he likes flowers too. Dadon's unsure but doesn't hate them. Torum realizes it's no ordinary flower. The master killed the lowest level labyrinth boss to get it. It's the multi-headed snake's comb. Mew calls Dadon Mr. Flower. He plays dumb, just glad she's back to normal. Didn't pats her head, calling her a cheerful kid. Sako says Flower grandfather fits her perfectly, but didn't reveals he has a nickname too. Mew shouts Sako has military eyes. Dadon laughs, calling formidable, stern Sako spoiled. Sako says hard workers have no time to sleep. Mew knows the struggle, but Sako claims only the gifted can make it. Mu says she works hard stacking stones. Everyone laughs. Toru calls Sarah a perfect distraction, and she reveals her true thoughts. Suddenly, she tells him she'll make great broth. He awkwardly says he's not sure he heard right but wishes her luck. At the guild, Dutton confirms the numbers don't match calculations. Sako adds this is especially true for rain stones. Taro and the girls arrive. Mew shouts they haven't seen him since last night. Dedon asks if they're really off to new hunting grounds. He sees Yerl, blushes, and says it suits her well. Even Sako behind him freezes in shock. Mu tells Dedon to bend. He does, and Mu grabs his beard. Dedon, unfazed, continues to discuss if Sako knows the crystal's location. Sako says no evidence reached their healing temple, likely taken to another city. Dawn confirms the wind user's involvement. Mew playfully tugs Dedon's beard as other adventurers pass by, surprised. Mew lowers his beard, Sako catches it, says his hand slipped and he's holding it. Mew thanks Sleepy Mister, leaving the soldiers behind him frozen in shock. Someone tries to prevent it, but Sako commands them forward. Dadon awaits Sako's report. Mew says they'll meet the Flower Mister. Dadon pats her head, promising they'd see each other again. He leaves, patting Toru's shoulder. Sako tells Toru he hit E rank, reminding him non-interference ends in 5 months, then asks if that's enough time. Toru grabs move, now Sicodal must stay sharp, the next hunt won't be easy. Soon the four, including Yurli, speed off in a cart. Mew's out cold on Uriel's lap. She was hyped earlier, but now she's totally crashed. Sarah's bored. Toru offers to guard so they can sleep. Their cheap wagon-top seats offer great views, but goblins lurk in the forest. Sarah wants to talk to Toru, who replies that adventurers should rest. Uriel offers Thor her free leg. He rests his head on it. He gets up, thanks her, says maybe next time. Sarah says he can sleep with her. Toru asks her to lie down beside him, catching Sarah completely off guard. Uriel watches them, smiling calmly. Red Sarah says she'll wait until they're alone. Toru said nullification made subjugation possible, but only Sarah saw the fight, so she'll raise her nullification to level 2 this trip. Sarah insists she'll make wonderful broth. Yerl and Toru gaze lovingly. They reach a house and Toru wakes Mu, who immediately asks for breakfast. They enter a crowded room. Toru heads to reception and the worker immediately pegs him as a rookie. The worker welcomes them to the river of blood and gets instantly killed. Rishi of the Fukusui family introduces himself as the one in charge. Toru thanks him. Uriel introduces herself, pleased to meet her. Mew immediately demands 3 bowls of meat dango. Sarah introduces herself, telling Mew to calm down, it's not a store. Rishi explains how things work. The return carriage leaves daily at 3 p.m. Don't miss it. Weekends get packed, so book tickets early. Toru saw 3 carriages pass, asking if they could ride. Rishi explained they're for construction, no passenger space. Rishi says hunting grounds are ahead, but the blood river's high, so 10 adventurers arrive. Groups hunt in assigned zones to avoid chaos. He hoped they listened. He explains red iron class people upstream aren't inferior to the white iron's purpose. Cross the collection riverbed, and downstream are the hunting grounds. To cross over, Torum must fight through 10 massive hippos upstream. He heard the hunting grounds were crowded, so restrictions were in place, but that was different. Toru asks how work is split. Rishi explains it's all about drive, show up by day to become the elite. Toru asks about hunter-adventurer disagreements. Whispers confirm their deep hostility. Rishi awkwardly mumbles that's untrue. He wants to help but lacks people. He offers to supply any weapons or gear they need, telling them not to be shy, just ask. Rishi wraps up and asks for questions, but Toru confirms they're all set. Rishi gives them the document. Mew happily asks to sign, but Toru sternly refuses, it needs his name. Moot's heart sinks, and Toru recalls Dadon's advice to shower her with love. Toru fakes not knowing how to spell his name, asking Mujin to write it since she's better. Mew grins, leave it to me. Uriel and Sarah snicker. Mew flaunts her paper. Toru's shocked she wrote it. Rishi grabs the document, recognizing the name instantly. He asks if they've met before. Tiruz lived in the ogre forest for ages, so they never met. Rishi understands. Rishi warns Uriel the bloody river lasts 2 days, so don't miss the carriage. Uro understands, then thanks him. Rishi awkwardly blushes. They head to the river. Someone points, shouts, what are they lifting? Many people with bags collect something. Toru thinks they're hunting for precious stones. He sees red iron in the sand. Sarah calls the name fitting for their rank. Toru says material from this hunting ground's color shows rank. Uriel's never been to Northmaj, and the river's eerie color catches her off guard. Mew flaunts her vibrant beauty, but Sarah warns against swimming in the river. Toru agrees, ordering them not to drink and stay alert. The water resists corrosion, unlike wood that rots in days. No ships cross these silent depths. They drag Mew's sled along the bank until she spots tents and questions Toru. Adventurers' tents offer rest. Inside, people spot them. One asks if he's the forest warrior. The second confirms he crushed Roussel and reached the temple. Rumors say he can solo entire armies, and losing to an old man would be a total disgrace. They spot Mew in red clothes, wondering if she's an adventurer, unable to believe it. Toru and the girls find a spot. Toru asks to stay. Everyone quickly gathers ready. A man asks them why they're here. Toru replies they're doing nothing, just stopped to hunt. The man says the place is taken. Toru apologizes, saying he didn't know it was taken since he saw nothing. The man says to check for tents, but most are empty. Toru picked this spot because it's right by the branch. The man leads him. 10 minutes later, they walk along the shore. Toru notes the tents are far apart. Toru asks to hunt at a tent, but the silent man points to a sign with a cross. Toru asks if it's impossible, but the man tells him to die if he wants, leaving Toru stunned. The woman smiles, warning it's dangerous in the rain. Toru agrees the heavy precipitation makes it risky. Toru urges the girls to move on. Mu sleeps on the sled. Sarah says they need shelter for the night. Toru chokes hard. Toru notices Uriel's downcast, asks if she's okay. She hesitantly agrees. He suggests a break. Uriel gasps. Her strength from 20 years ago vanished. She longed to breeze through challenges and stroll through thickets, but that's impossible now. Mutated by miasma, these plants drain the life from everything nearby, creating a dead zone where nothing grows and no one dares to enter. He asks what happened. Toru says they rested. He asks why suddenly. Without waiting, he shouts he's had enough, demanding they get out now. Mew wakes up asking what happened, but the man just orders them out. Thor awkwardly says there's no choice, hoping she'll object, then scoops her up and moves on. Uriel blushes, apologizing for the trouble. Toru smiles, telling her not to worry. Mew asks if he'll carry her, and Sarah confirms, admitting she's a little jealous. Toru weighs Saku's words. The next hunt is far. Passing a tent, he sees nothing here, so they move on. They approach the tent and ask if it's free while the man eyes Uriel's body. He grins, saying it's empty. Inside, the tent's people also smile suspiciously. Sarah moves from the tent, glad they found a free spot. They tell Toru to stop and unpack, and he asks for their help. Mu leaves, promising a quick return. Toru warns, avoid the river. They thank Thor. She says they need rest first. Toru hands her a chair as she collapses with a sigh. Uriel apologizes, admitting she's out of practice and lost her old stamina. Toru says it's fine and lets her rest, but Sarah demands the full details. Toru leaves to help with the tent, but Uriel tells him not to worry. Mew collects the stones, surprised by their size. Toru and Sarah hold the material, hammering a nail with a stone. Toru calls it done, slapping Saru's hand and praising their great work. Sarah couldn't find a table, but found coasters that instantly heat food and drinks. The elder serves hot tea and tells them to drink up. Sarah sips her tea and sighs. Toru calls Mew to sit, but she shouts she's coming while stacking stone towers. She slams another stone into her tower, sending the rocks flying. She's enjoying it. Toru wonders, is this fun? Near the river, Toru orders them to stay put while he scouts ahead, telling Mood to guard your eye while he inspects the stones. They obey him. Sarah warns. Uriel understands. Mu shouts her love, handing him her electric spike. He steps closer. It feels familiar, but he can't recall, wondering what's across the river. Stones shift beneath him as black frogs burst from the water. One lunges at Thor, who steps back as 4 frogs close in. Uriel fears angry oxen spirits, so she must act. Her sleep spell makes animals hibernate. Sarah yells amazing. Mew yells we won't lose. Uriel warns them no noise or they'll wake. Toru smiles. Uriel as expected. This single target spell fades fast, but a special magic injection keeps its power at max. Even expending much magic, it's hard to reduce its immense power. This universal spell spreads uniquely, hitting harder. Toru's sword kills monsters, but the frog's poisonous spines and mucus skin make them untouchable and impenetrable, making them a huge problem. He finishes the last, enjoying their helplessness. An arrow flies at him, striking his sword and reflecting into the ground. Toru turns to see his neighbor. Teru draws his arrows and demands the plan. He just sneers, asking if he means the arrow. He grins, apologizes for the miss, and demands it back since it's not even scratched. Toru warns him to be careful next time. He rudely replies he talks too much and demands it back quickly. Toru offers the arrow. The man grabs it, but Toru's grip won't yield, making his hand tremble. Panicked, he screams to release the arrow, his 2 comrades echoing to let it fly now, promising to deal with him quickly on command. Sarah screams for his safety while Mew begs him to try. Toru fires the arrow and they strike back in rage. Toru warns the girls it's dangerous and they need to move. The 3 push on. One spots their path. The archer knocks an arrow, aims. Toru and the girls chat, then the bow string snaps, hitting the man in the face. Sarah turns to see him kneeling in pain. Toru stares at his hand, warning him to be careful next time. Blood flows down the river. Uriel spells the frogs again. They instantly sleep as Thurper finishes them. Behind them stand Sarah and Mew. Toru's squad set up on a riverbank downstream, escaping the archer ambush. As Toru swung at the frog, a huge fish burst from the water, its mouth gaping, shooting a bubbly liquid stream at him. Toru steps back, but the liquid still flies at her. She lifts her cloak, blocking the poison. The fish sprays the girls, but Sarah acts fast, redirecting the poison right back down. The liquid hits the surviving frogs. They slump, croaking one by one. Her owl casts a freezing fog, engulfing her in smoke before blasting it back at the frogs. They suddenly freeze, alive, aware, and helpless. Their bodies tremble. Toru swings his sword, but the frogs move, returning to the river. Toru chases them, but the fish leaps out and spits poison. He dodges, slamming onto his back as rocks scatter. Toru stands, poison flies at him. He freezes, stunned. Sarah transforms, blocking the poison and reflecting it into the river. The frogs dive into the river as Sarah screams they escaped, yelling at the fish to back off. Move gloats they fled in fear. A disappointed Ural suggests better freezing. Sarah apologizes for failing to stop them, but Toru smiles and tells her it's not her fault. Sarah is devastated. Toru approaches a dead frog and cuts out its tongue. Mew asks if he cut her tongue. He holds it up, proof of his defeat. He warns Mew it's poisonous. His knife dulls on his tongue, cracking and melting before his eyes, but he easily restores it. Toru returns to the river, figuring downstream offers more room to hunt. Toru, relaxing over tea, notes monsters are fewer. Only Mew's cheerful, busy laying out items. Toru calls the frog a total pain, but Ural just sips tea and enjoys the vibe. Mew dashes to Toru, hugging her neck. Toru, tea in hand, warns her to be careful. Sarah jumps up, abandons her tea, and rushes to hug him too. Uro calls him a good man. Sarah says hugging Thor makes her problems vanish, then asks Uro what he thinks of her. Ural thinks it's a good way. She pulls her chair to Thor, hugging him beside Mew. They find calm, closing their eyes. Mew notices Toru's gloomy face and asks what happened, but he sips his tea and claims all men look like that. Mew happily suggests she's too cute. Toru smiles, making Mew grin even wider. They hug. Toru asks if they should change hunting grounds. She opens her eyes, claiming all's well, but Sarah adds the fish mean they don't fit. Toru says he can handle their attacks, he just fears waking them again. Sarah pulls away, asking if that's happening, why not just put them back to sleep? Uri sighs and replies these creatures are interesting, clinging to Thor. She eyes the river, noting this powerful water magic has a flaw. Repeating the same attack will slash its power. Teru asks if this builds monster resistance. Avril smiles and confirms it. Excited, Mu asks Toru to do it. Toru agrees, but only if she swims well. Worried, Sarah tells Mu to practice more. Mu replies she'll gladly try. Toru sips his tea and tells them they have to wait. The girls still cradle him. Ural, feeling weak, decides to rest. Mu asks Toru dinner not ready. Toru hangs his head annoyed. Sarah, confused, asks what's wrong. Toru whips his head around, shouting how long they'll just sit and stare. Middleman clicks his tongue. Noticed you. Side guy fumes. I told you not to peek early. He counters, just wondering when they'd start. Third guy smiles. Can't help it, never. First prefers modest, sweet girls, but third objects arguing charm and seriousness are key. First doesn't get it, asking if beauty isn't subtle, but third insists something else matters entirely. They start fighting. Toru grits his teeth as the middle guy breaks them up, apologizing and telling them to continue. Enraged, Toru screams at him to shut up. They introduce themselves. The eldest son is responsible and reliable. Ninlas, the middle son, 2 years younger, always answers for his words. The youngest is Gugtev, 2 years older than Ninlas and attentive unlike. Elders smack his head, demanding answers, then brawl again. Uriel offers tea, but Toru snaps, demanding to know why they're invited. The brothers instantly chill and agree to tea, scratching their heads awkwardly. They're all together drinking tea. Toru starts asking, but someone asks his question for him. They're all together drinking tea. Toru starts asking, but someone asks his question for him. Toru irritably asks what they're doing. The middle one thinks, asking why Toru cares. The elder answers he just looked at girls, but the younger scolds him. That's bad, you should. The elder realizes they're new and offers help, while Mew sits on Sarah's lap, fuming as someone drinks from her cup. Toru asks how long they've been hunting. The middle one says it's been over 2 years and he's sick of this red water. Toru notes they're his neighbors, but he missed them coming here. The middle one replies they were further downriver, where the bank's much larger. Toru asks about the prey. He replies there's none and downstream it's the same. Toru asks about the other way, but the sad middle one says they're broke. He says reaching that place costs a fortune, so Toru demands the details. He agrees, suggesting the Bloody River's spoils divide into 3 categories. The upper reaches, most fertile, are full of rampaging hippos, red-finned crabs, and monsters, providing income from materials and points. It's popular, so reaching it is tough. Next up is the middle course they've already visited. You can see red poise and frogs there, but when it rains, others appear. Tiru asks about the black cross sign they passed. He's warned that hunting there means serious trouble. These lower reaches are too remote. Fish just get in the way, making this the worst place to hunt. Toru points out the low numbers. insisting they wait for the middle reaches to open rather than hunt here. He says more game exists but hunting's bad, too much competition. Toru says he was kicked out just for standing there when Uriel got sick. He thinks they mistook them for robbers. Toru asks why they'd believe that. He replies many pretend to pass, then grab the prey and run. They were almost tricked into becoming the neighbor's main target, making them enemies everywhere. Even hunting mid-river they must rise to leave. Toru asks, is this serious? He confirms it. Factions hoard the loot, monopolizing profits based on race. Toru asks if he's one of them, but he retorts that if he were, they'd already be dead, while his brother backs him up. Toru asks how to reach the upper levels. Sipping tea, the man says it'll cost a fortune. Toru smiles awkwardly, explaining that you can't learn everything just by watching. Middle one claims self-defense but admits defeat. Elders disappointed, they lack magic. Younger one hates fighting, it just bleeds too much. Uriel breaks the tension, offering more tea. The middle one thanks her. He loves the tea, but the kid admits he's nervous around so many beauties. Uriel giggles behind his hand and thanks him. She brings hot tea. Toru asks if they know who's in charge. He sighs. The Red Thunder, Purple Eye, and Red Tail tribes control the best lands, holding half of all river hippos. They're a Purple Eye invited here, but he finds the Daedrot head a total jerk. Toru's furious. Why's no one talking? He replies. Rumors say rebels just drowned in the river. Silence falls as Toru remembers Rishi's worried face asking about the conflict. He reveals the black suits are running wild, and they're from the adventurer's security department. Toru asks what's next. The brothers didn't get him, asking what he meant. Toru asks if they're done. Middle guy smiles, calls Toru no slouch. He's got a plan. Older one bets they'd drown in tears if it lived. Younger one says he's not ready. Eldest awkwardly tells Toru to forget it. Toru agrees. Middle brother offers to teach tricks but needs a break first. He asks if their frog problem is because fish are in the way. Mew says it is. Sarah adds it's tough to handle, but he claims it's simple to solve. Sarah asks how to drag frogs from the river. He says, further from shore fish notice less, water bombs hit less.